This meeting of the Syracuse Planning Commission. We will begin our public hearing schedule in just a moment after we've taken care of our minutes from the previous meeting. And those minutes have been distributed in advance to the commission members. Is there a motion for action on those minutes of our last meeting?
Move approval on the minutes of September 8th, 2025.
Thank you. Is there a second? Thank you. Discussion on the motion before us? If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The minutes of the September 8th meeting are approved. We will begin the public hearing schedule of our meeting next, just by way of introduction for anyone unfamiliar with our process. As each application is announced, we ask that the applicant or their representative come to the podium in the center of the room, provide their name and address for the record, and then a summary of the application involved. Following any questions from the commission members, we will then open up the opportunity for members of the public to speak in favor of the application, and then similarly an opportunity for those who wish to speak in opposition to the application. We ask those speaking either for or against to keep comments concise. We have a long agenda this evening. We want to get through it all so no projects are held up, and ask if you could confine your comments either way to about 3 minutes. That would be really helpful. Where comments are offered in opposition, we will encourage the applicant to return to the podium and address the comments made in opposition. So with that, I think we have a little update to the agenda this evening.
We do. Anyone here for a new business item titled the Spencer Street Concrete Facility? It includes 3 companion pieces, a re-subdivision, a special use permit, and a major site plan review. This is at 411 and 421 Spencer Street. That is postponed and will not be heard this evening. So anyone here this evening for that, I apologize, but that item will not be before the board tonight. It's possible that could return. We will advertise for that if that happens and public notice it. And just to put out there that anybody has the opportunity to provide comment in writing at any time to the zoning email address, zoning@syr.gov.
Great, thank you. So our first application this evening.
First up this evening is an old business item. This is for the Syracuse Development Center Phase 1, Z-2894 at 800 and 802 South Wilbur Ave. They will be requesting a resolution modification tonight.
May I request and share, may I approach and share a document?
Certainly.
Thank you.
My name is Brody Smith. I'm an attorney at Bond, Shinnick & King, and I represent the applicant, Albanese. The property at issue has 2 addresses, 800 South Wilbur and 802 South Wilbur. As was mentioned before, the project concerns the former Syracuse Developmental Center, which closed in 1998. That property has been vacant for some time and was rezoned PDD by the city recently in connection with this project. What we're here to discuss is the project plan review approval, which was granted this past May 5. That approval included, as part of Phase 1, 3 different components to the project. First, 27 townhomes. Secondly, 2 multi-dwelling buildings, apartment buildings, that add up to 261 units. And then finally, associated commercial park space and parking. The request we're making here today is for amendments to that previous approval, which occurred on May 5th, in order to clarify certain provisions of the approval, which would be necessary for the project to go forward. So what I've handed to you is my letter. It's a summary. I want you to have the same thing in front of you that I have in front of me. It's a summary of the issues, and I won't read it at you, but I'm going to summarize the 3 issues, and please interrupt me if you have any questions. First, the crossing of approvals. So this project can essentially be summarized. You've got the townhome portion of it, the 27 townhomes, and secondly, the 261 apartments and 2 buildings. These are all part of one approval, but they're really 2 separate construction schedules, 2 separate projects. There'll be 2 different entities will finance each part of that, and there'll be different equity members owning it. There's a lot of capital in terms of both private money, loans, and then public money too that is going into those projects. So we're coming very close to the beginning point for the construction of the apartment buildings, and we have to close on the financing imminently, and that'll be a different lender and equity member then for the townhome portion. So it's come up that some of the conditions, it's not clear from the wording that they may apply, like a default on one portion of the project would render the other portion unfinanceable, right? They can't lend money if there's something they don't have control over that could cause a default or a removal of the project sign approval. So we have proposed, behind my letter, I have a proposed red line of the resolution that clarifies that yes, all the conditions apply to all parts of the project, but any default on one would only affect that part, not the other, so that the lenders can have that clarification. The second issue is the construction. I'm going to skip to the construction deadlines. The initial approval had a 12-month deadline. As you know, this is a very large property. It's probably the largest parcel in the city, and it's a large project. The project can't be completed in that time frame, in a 12-month time frame. So we've had the opportunity since the approval in May to talk to many contractors, and we have that lined up, and we know it'll take approximately 36 months from the start of construction. Construction is slated to begin in January. So what we're asking for is a 42-month deadline to finish construction from the date of the approval back in May. That's how we get to that number 42, because we'll need 36 months to construct it if we begin in January. And then the final issue, where if you look in the red line, we're requesting a modification, is the permanent affordability of the workforce housing, the affordable housing, I should say. That the way that it's worded, it's infinite. It never ends. I don't think that was ever the intention, and it's my understanding that the Common Council is attempting to address that too. In our red line, we inserted language that it would match the regulatory agreements. So specifically the regulatory agreement, the idea is it would terminate the same time as the HFA agreement would terminate. In this case, it's 30 years. So that's what's included in our red line. After consulting with your council, it's my understanding that the Common Council had this on their agenda previously, and it's coming up again next week. If it's the preference of the board to have the Common Council resolve that issue, that's fine, so long as if that's delayed, we'd kind of like to reserve the right to come back to you if, for whatever reason, that doesn't happen. But we have no objection to that solution, if that's the preference of the board. And I'll stop there. Oh, the last thing is there was the unit count. I think there's just typographical error on the unit count. It's 261. I found the origin of the typographical error in the packet, if you care, but I think it's 261. And if you look at the staff memo, it's clearly 261, and all the architectural drawings is 261.
So if I could just clarify, Brody, if we're willing to wait for the Common Council to act on the resolution that is before them right now, then we only need to deal with 2 issues tonight. Is that correct?
That's right.
Okay.
Obviously, the applicant would love for you to deal with all 3, but again, I understand from speaking to your council, there may be a preference to let the Common Council deal with that other issue, and we don't object to that as long as we could come back in November 10th if that doesn't happen.
We don't have an objection. as long as it's in accordance with the code, we're covered in both scenarios. And we also fully anticipate that change. But if not, then it'll
We
be,
should probably have the language
come back
in
to the
there
next
so
meeting
that
and
it
take care of
syncs
it.
up with the council's action.
right.
Yeah.
And just for the board's information, the code does allow the board to authorize via condition of approval a different expiration on project approvals other than the standard 12-month. Large project like this certainly makes sense to consider what's being asked. Other than the standard 12 months followed by a potential administrative 12-month extension followed by coming back before this body, which is all standard procedure. But Section 5.5C under administration and procedures under post-decision actions, totally within your purview to grant any expiration of approval as you wish.
So are there, thank you. That's a nice succinct overview of those various issues. Any immediate questions from the commission members for Mr. Smith regarding that set of issues pertaining to our resolution?
No, all set, thank you.
And
So if we could just clarify what Jake just said, though. My understanding of that is that we have final decision on this particular action. It doesn't need to go to the Common Council.
Yeah, doesn't go to council.
No, so this is your approval. This is your project site approval, which you can amend, and which happens from time to time. There's nothing wrong with amending. Oftentimes, it has to do with changes in construction, all that. Here, it's just wording. We're not actually. I think that's an important question. We're not actually changing the substantive design, size, placement of anything. It's just the wording of. We're seeking a clarification of the
Applicability
wording
to
of a couple of the
right.
conditions.
and the timeline of the
That's right.
extension of the timeline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So if there are no further questions for the applicant, does anyone wish to offer a motion to address these issues?
You're reopening it, yeah.
Okay.
So I
So
think
we'll-
what the commission's going to do is reopen for a vote, and in that case, invite the public to speak.
I'm sorry. What's that?
They're going to reopen for the vote and invite the public to speak if they wish.
Okay. Thank
Need
you.
a motion then to reopen. So first,
I'll make a
No,
motion.
yeah.
I'll make a motion to reopen the vote taken on the resolution on May 5th.
thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on that motion? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? So now to move to consideration of the several issues that were just outlined by Mr. Smith. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in favor of the proposed changes to the resolution that the commission adopted in May? Anyone wishing to speak in favor of those changes, please come forward to the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and then your comments. I see no one rising to speak, so I will ask if there anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the proposed changes to that resolution. If so, please come forward, provide your name and address for the record, and then offer your comments. Again, I don't see anyone rising to speak on this matter. We will close public comment on this and consider a resolution to address the issues that were just outlined a few moments ago. You're prepared to?
I'm prepared to make a motion. Yes, I am. Having reopened the resolution for the vote, I believe that I'd like to make a motion to accept the red line changes submitted by the applicant, as submitted by the applicant, and incorporate them into the new resolution.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion on this motion now before us? If there's no discussion from the commission members, then all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The revised resolution carries. And thank you very much. Our next,
Moving into our new business items. First up is a special use permit, SP-24-27, located at 2564-70 Erie Boulevard East, owned by ETK Realty. This is in the MX3 zone district. The applicant is requesting to establish a automobile repair light duty land use type.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing us to speak here again tonight. My name is Ray Bartolai, and I'm a representative of Big E Tire and Automotive Service Centers and ETK Junior Realty. We're located at 925 South State Street in Clark Summit, PA. And we're here tonight in reference to the Automotive Service Center at 2564 Erie Boulevard East in Syracuse. We're asking for a special use permit to allow us to open up a light automotive repair shop on that lot. It was formerly a building of the AMCO transmissions. At that previous time, it was automotive heavy, so we are reducing it to automotive repair light.
that's the summary, correct? Okay, thank you. Questions for the applicant from the commission members?
All set, thank you.
Awesome, thanks.
Okay. Are there any individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward. No, we kind of knew you were in favor.
You didn't see us vote, did you?
It was a dead giveaway. Anyone in favor, please come forward, provide your name, address, and comments. There are no speakers in that category. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward, providing your name, address, and comments. No one seems rising to speak on this application, so we'll close the public comment for this application, and we'll turn our attention to our seeker review for SP 2427.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the EAF Part 1 prepared by the applicant and contained in your packet?
Yes.
Okay. Has everyone reviewed the EAF Part 2, also contained in your packet?
Yes.
Does anyone believe that the proposed action will result in a moderate to large impact under SECRA?
No.
Having determined that there are no moderate to large impacts, I recommend that the board make a negative declaration and prepare the Part 3 EAF accordingly.
Thank you. Is there a seeker motion to that effect?
Make a motion to issue a negative seeker declaration?
Second.
Discussion on the seeker motion before us? If there's no discussion, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Seeker motion is approved. We may now turn our attention to the special use permit for a recommendation that will go on to the council. Is there a motion to that effect?
I make a motion to approve SP-24-27 as it presented in the application. Beyond the general conditions, there are 7 special conditions attached to this application that are stated on pages 30 and 31 of the combined agenda packet for today's material. The 7 conditions are: 1, the applicant will need to show a sheet flow for the new pitched roof as directed to be controlled on the side to practical exterior to practical extent possible. 2, the asphalt parking area between the facade and the right-of-way is to be restored to topsoil and grass. 3, fixed vertical objects are required where the parking area meets the right-of-way. 4, the operation shall not include the outside storage of vehicle bulks or parts. 5, the operation shall not include the removal of engines or transmissions or require any body framework. 6, the operation shall not include any dismantling or regulated by the New York State. And 7, ADA compliant lead walk is required to and from the public right-of-way sidewalk.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
This is a special use permit, so it should be a recommendation.
Recommendation to the common
Recommendation to
council.
the common
Correct.
council.
Thank you.
Accept the friendly amendment.
Thank you.
So discussion on this motion that will be transmitted in the form of a recommendation to the common council for final disposition. Discussion on this item? If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? So that motion is approved. It proceeds to the common council, and the common council will make the final determination on the special use permit. So thank you.
Next up, we continue with the Syracuse Development Center, SDC project. This includes a re-subdivision modification and also a street dedication, SD-2025-01 at 800 and 802 South Wilbur Ave, owned by City of Syracuse applicant Albany's Group. This is in the PDD zone district.
Again, my name is Brody Smith. I'm an attorney at Bond, and I represent Albany's. I won't repeat all the facts unless there's a desire for me to do so in terms of the background of the project. Suffice to say, the re-subdivision involves the various aspects of the property. A total of 32 new lots would be made out of what's now 2 lots to accommodate the townhomes and the apartment buildings, and then also 2 new public streets. In the summary of changes in your staff packet, you see that the only change from previous meetings is that High Point Street would be Helen D. Hudson Boulevard. All these street names, including Jensen, Husak, Seguin, have all been approved by the County 911 Street Naming Committee.
Thank you. Questions for the applicant on these 2 items, either the re-subdivision or the street dedication?
No questions, thank you.
Thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of either of these applications? If so, please come to the podium, provide your name and address for the record, and then your comments, please. Is there anyone who wishes to speak in opposition to either application? If so, please come to the podium, providing your name and address for the record, and then offer your comments. We apparently don't have any speakers for these 2, and we will therefore close public comment. Regarding these 2, we also have completed our seeker review previously. That is not part of this evening's actions by this body. And so taking up the re-subdivision application, is there a motion for action on R2505M1?
Make a motion to approve R-25-OM1 with one special condition. That special condition being that the applicant shall successfully file the re-subdivision map in the Onondaga County Clerk's office within 62 days of re-subdivision approval. Now, having stated that, I should make a clarifying comment. Normally, re-subdivisions are simply approved by the Planning Commission. However, in this case, there actually is a note that the re-subdivision must include the 2 names for the streets that are going to be approved in the street dedication application, which we're going to consider next, which does require common council approval. Therefore, the refiling of the re-sub with the county clerk clock does not start until after the common council approval of the 2 street name dedications.
Good clarification, thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion now before us for the re-subdivision, R2505M1. If not, all in favor of that motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? R2505M1 is approved. That takes us now to the street dedication SD 2025-01. Is there a motion for action on this?
Make a motion to approve SD-2025-01, no special conditions, and recommend approval by the Common Council.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion for the street dedication. If not, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Street dedication resolution recommendation goes to the Common Council. Thank you. Onward to our next application.
Next are two companion pieces, a special use permit and a re-subdivision for a greenhouse manufacturing plant project located at 2956, 2960, and 2964 East Genesee Street. Owner currently Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation. This is in the MX2 zone district.
If the applicant is here, yes, please come forward and provide your name and address for the record, and then a summary of what's involved with your application.
Yeah. My name is Ashok Bose, and I'm the applicant in the founder and the CEO of Sustainable Energy and Agriculture Technology, which is doing business as ACAT. My address is 327 Dickerson Drive North, Camillus, New York. First of all, I'd like to thank you, and I'm deeply honored to have the opportunity to present my application for smart greenhouse project in Syracuse. And before I go there, I wanted to share, in addition to all the documentation that has been submitted already, that why we are doing this thing in Syracuse and at this particular location. So very briefly, 10 years ago, I did not even think that I would do this probably, because I'm an electronic engineer. But because of my personal experience, when I was in China, my son was born, and he had a severe problem of asthma and so forth, and he got pneumonia due to the pollution. And that's the reason that I quit my job in IBM and brought him back to Arizona, where I'm originally from. To make the story short, fast forward, the good thing is that my son, who is now 14 years old, and he is now attending high school in West Gen, right? His health has recovered completely, and I'm deeply blessed to share this information. So what I did at the time when I came back to Arizona, I created a small greenhouse on my land in Arizona. And when I harvested it, one tomato, I gave this tomato to my son, who was 4 years old, and he was going to almost, the child who was almost, I was going to lose, now he is going to having a bite on my own tomato, right? So I was very happy. Fast forward, I put this picture in my Facebook, and I found that hundreds of my friends and their friends, they're calling me, and they said they wanted to do this thing, right? Because I think the project sharing of happiness, right? So I decided that I will give up my job in IBM, and then I'll devote my time to create greenhouse. And fast forward, I found a lot of challenges, and being a blessed engineer, I had some patents and so forth, so I made this design. And why Syracuse? Because even though Arizona is a good place, but actually, if you look at the cost of vegetables in greenhouse, in Northeast here, is much higher, especially during the winter time, because of the cost of transportation. Again, I'm not going to spend more time on this because of the limit, but the good thing is that if we have a simple design like that, and if we have a patented temperature control, then we could produce greenhouse vegetables almost 12 months a year instead of just only few months in the summer and the fall. And that way, we could save significant amount of pollution that is created by transporting the food from from the West Coast or from Florida to here, and that will help win-win situation. The people here will get fresh vegetables as well as there'll be less carbon dioxide in there. And I'm very blessed that NYSERDA, New York State Energy Research, they have been very fortunate to help us a little bit. So anyway, so first forward, this project, I have been, again, thankful to the city of Syracuse planning department, and we've been working together, and we got this parcel, and we are going to build a 50 by 50 square foot structure, the site plan, and it's a two-story building. And what we are trying to do is the two things. One thing is that we are going to build these things in here by using some automated robot technology that we are planning for using. And also we wanted to do that so that community, which is instead of doing it in a very far-fetched, in a remote place, we wanted to bring it so that the people as well as the children, when they will get out of the school every day, they will be able to see how a smart greenhouse is made, if they wish to, right? And that will be probably a significant change in the attitude towards manufacturing and also sustainable lifestyle. Okay? And I can go on, but the reason that I'm here
Not necessary
is
to do that, but if you maybe could tell us what the actions are that you need. It seems as though you need to combine several lots, several parcels into one in order to build the facility that you're looking for. And that secondly, it seems as though you need a special use permit for the facility. Could you talk about any highlights on those two items that you'd like us to be especially knowledgeable about?
Yes, sir. So first of all, that after searching almost more than a year in upstate New York, I found this land which were vacant at this time, and we wanted to use the 3 lots. They're all contiguous, and we'll be able to build a 50 by 50 two-story building. And the good thing is that all the production of the construction will be insulated so that there will be no noise, or at least the reduction of noise to the outside. In addition to that, we are also we have addressed the concern about the neighborhood for the loading and unloading and the noise. So our operation will be restricted so that when the kids are coming out of the school or going to the school, that time there will be no loading, safety. And also, as far as the air control, air quality control, okay, I am deeply involved myself. I have done some project in the past about this. So we know that it is very important. As I mentioned that even the whole genesis of this whole project is that keeping air in Syracuse and clean, right? So we will do everything that is possible. And I have presented a plan how to control the air quality so that there will be dust. And based on what we have done already, a manual process in the neighborhood where we built one, I can assure you that the noise level was minimum, so there is no complaint from any neighbors when we are building this particular structure in Camillus, right? And also during the operation time right now, it is absolutely silent because there is no noise. So I believe that we have been able to address all the concerns of the neighborhood in the proposal, in the work plan that we have submitted in last week. Thank you.
Thank you. So let's pause there and see if there are any questions on this project from the commission members and how this will unfold. Any questions for the applicant?
No, all set, thank you.
Yeah, so I can start. I have 3 questions. First of all, I'm having a hard time telling exactly where the retaining wall is. on, the side towards Meadowbrook? Is that before the foliage and the trees? Where exactly is the retaining wall going to be located? How does that?
I'm sorry, sir.
Retaining wall. You had
Oh, yes.
The plans call for a retaining wall on the south side. I can't tell from the diagrams exactly where that retaining wall is. So I was just wondering if you could clarify that. And is that going to involve removing any foliage, any trees, et cetera? Or is the retaining wall going to occur before any of the trees that screen that from the Meadowbrook side of the property?
Yes. So to the best of my knowledge, even though I'm not an architect, I'm a mechanical engineer, but what we have done, the land has a slant.
Right.
Slant. And what happened is that in order to use the parking lot, so that we needed some more space, and then we have to make sure that there is a wall there, retained wall, so that we can use the land, and also we can control the access to the building in a safe way. If
Okay.
that is my understanding, and again, I'll be more than happy to clarify if there is more needed.
Okay. I guess that's sufficient
Okay.
for now. So I was just curious, so the unit that's being constructed, the greenhouse, is 10 by 10 by 15 height, and you're actually shipping that already assembled on the back of a truck? Is that correct?
Yes.
So my understanding is correct about that.
Yes. So again, first of all, thank you so much, sir, for your question. This gives me a lot of assurance that if there is interest in this, right? That is. So one of the major challenge of this kind of technology, that why it is not popular, because it takes time. When we manufacture it here by on-site manufacturing, first of all, the lack of time and resources and everything. So in order to commercialize that, and that is exactly where I think I've been very blessed to have this NYSERD as assistance with this, is that we need to make it manufactured, right? So if you want to manufacture it, then our vision is like that. Just like when you buy a refrigerator, right? You do not buy compressor and all the parts. You just go to Home Depot or wherever you're buying, and they will come and they'll deliver it, right? So our vision is in the future, the smart greenhouse will be installed or available, like anybody who has got a backyard or the front yard, it will be installed. So not only the people who are using refrigerator to preserve the food, the community will have the ability to grow the food. Not everything, but
Right.
whatever. So that is the reason that we wanted to, you're right, that our vision is that we'll finish the product and we'll ship it so that minimum time will be required to install it on the consumer side.
Right. So all that's required for installation is a concrete pad on the end of the user?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. So, and again, in the Camilla's, this is not the first one. We did some few model in Arizona, as I mentioned, that's the project started. Now, because of the weather in New York is completely different, so we had to redesign the whole foundation and so forth. And our plan is exactly that but we're not going to build the concrete foundation in that plan. That is not our goal.
Right.
That will be somewhere else.
Right. Okay.
Again, thank you so much for your interest.
So I'm just wondering, assuming that the re-subdivision is approved by us and the special use permit is approved by the Common Council in a timely manner, what's your construction schedule?
Yeah, okay. So as we developed the plan itself, right, as you know, or initially I was thinking that it will be much simpler, right, because of what we did in the past, in a remote desert area. Now, because of we are now doing it in the middle of the city, so there's a lot, I fully understand there's a lot of concern and so forth. So that to answer your question, our target is actually as soon as we get a building permit, okay, we like to do it within 12 months, which is, okay. That is our target.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? Please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments.
you. I'm Caitlin Wright, speaking on behalf of the Greater Syracuse Land Bank, or the Greater Syracuse Property Development Corporation, 1941 South Salina Street. We are currently the owners of these properties and under contract to sell them to Mr. Bose. Our commitment to sell these properties is contingent upon him getting all of the necessary zoning approvals, which is why we're excited to see this approved tonight. And this is just emblematic of exactly what we wanted to accomplish with the land bank. You know, these parcels have been vacant for decades. We've had them for several years on the market. We're excited to see them get back on the tax rolls and be put back into productive use. We did have some concern when he initially came to us about the aesthetics of it. We know that East Genesee Street is a heavily traveled gateway into the city, and we want to make a good impression on people that are visiting Syracuse. But I will say that this is a great example of why rezone has been a success, because the design guidelines and the design requirements in rezone have really evolved his building design to a point where I think it's going to aesthetically fit into the neighborhood.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other individuals who may wish to speak in favor of this application, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come to the podium, provide your name, address, and comments.
Good evening. My name is Louise Magnarelli. I am a resident of the neighborhood. That's why I received notification of this application. My address is 204 Hurlburt Road. I have a lot of questions about this, but my overriding concern is that you're putting or allowing a manufacturing general permit in an area that is primarily residential. This site abuts apartments, numerous apartments, that are on Meadowbrook Drive. Behind the apartments, there is, I don't know if you want to call it forest or trees or whatever, but it separates the residential area from the commercial properties. There is a gas station, there's a Dollar General on either side of these parcels, but it separates that. The retaining wall will almost have to take down a lot of the trees that are there, and you're replacing it with a stone wall or whatever it's manufactured from. Again, right behind a residential area, behind these apartments that are going to look out onto it. My other concern is precedent. If you allow this to go through in this area, what does this mean when this gentleman's business either expands or goes out of business? Are we going to have more manufacturing general on this block? The other concern, and I know he's talked about it with regard to schools, Nottingham High School is about 2 blocks away. There are students who come and go, not just at certain times, like 8 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock, but they are coming and going along East Genesee Street all day long. Either they're arriving late or they're staying late. I'm not sure that this is where you want a manufacturing general area to be put. The other thing is I just learned recently that there are actually apartments right next to the property. It's a building that's called Transluminal, and apparently there are apartments in it. It was once a business, or I believe the individual I spoke to said there's still a business within it, but there are also 3 apartments in that building. I also have a question, and I'm sure he could probably answer it, but once these greenhouses are manufactured, where are they going to store them? Do they pre-make 10, 15, 100? Do they put them outside? Are we going to see lots and lots of greenhouses in a driveway? I don't think this is the right use. I went to the zoning website and tried to see if there were any other manufacturing general uses in an area such as this. But I think the special permits are not shown on the maps, so I would just ask you to look at other areas that are zoned as this one is and see whether or not a manufacturing general permit was ever allowed. For example, I would think like James Street. Would you put manufacturing general on James Street when on the other side of the commercial blocks, there's residences? So that's my opposition. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Other speakers in opposition? Please, just come to the podium. Give us your name and address for the record, and then your comments.
Okay, hi. My name is Alice Cross. I live at 209 Hurlburt Road, and I really can't add much more to what Louise said, except that I am opposed to this manufacturing place in my neighborhood. I do believe, we don't know the amount of trucks that could be going back and forth. We do have the kids walking to school, and they don't quite pay attention to the road all the time. They're usually talking or on their phones, so there is a concern of the dangerousness of this. And I do hope, as I said, I do agree with Louise, and I have nothing more to add. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Amy Bodo. I'm also a resident of Hurlburt Road, and I also object to the location of this manufacturing proposal. I drive along this intersection of Hurlburt and Genesee Street multiple times a day, and with the advent of the speed red light cameras and the school zone, I can tell you that the traffic is backed up regularly. Just you can't really make a left turn onto Meadowbrook without a long line of cars in front of you. I encourage you to go check this site out, and you can see that the volume of traffic right now is already pretty severe because of the addition of the lights, which are great because people were speeding down this road regularly. In addition to being near Nottingham, the site is also really close to Juonio, which is a pre-K school. So you'll often see parents biking with their kids to school or walking with their kids to school. When my son went to Juonio, I walked with him regularly. So it's, to me, the thought of having trucks regularly come and bring deliveries and drop off, it's really just not the place for it between two schools and multiple residences who feel the same way. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Other individuals who might wish to speak in opposition, please come to the podium.
Good evening. Our office represents Brookside Realty, who is the large apartment complex on Meadowbrook Drive. And I'm with Newman and Lickstein. And on behalf of the owner, they are opposed as well to this construction and operation of a factory, so to speak. They have owned the property for 25 years. There is severe concern for the noise and for the increased traffic that'll occur with not just vehicles, motor vehicles, but tractor trailers trying to deliver these greenhouses to the various customers of the greenhouses. Our client already pays a lot in property taxes, and he's hoping that if this were to be approved, that it wouldn't impact how being able to fill the apartment building with residents because they're opposed to living next to a manufacturer of sort, and just very concerned with the congestion and the impact that it would have on those residents that live in the apartment building as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there other individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward to do so. I don't see anyone else rising to speak, so we'll turn to, where did he go, the applicant. As indicated at the outset, where comments are offered in opposition to an application, we encourage the applicant to address those comments made in opposition. So you have an opportunity to do that if you wish to do so at this time.
Yeah.
I mean, you can just address the commission, but keeping in mind the comments that you just heard opposed to the project.
Yeah. So first of all, the main concern that what I hear about the storage of our finished product, right? We do not want to have any storage. And if we have any extra, like maybe there is inside, there is enough room to store a few of them, right? The reason is that we are going to adopt just-in-time kind of manufacturing process. And in fact, the demand is so high based on the data that we have, we do not like to keep them in the storage. That is my answer to that particular question. And regarding the concerns that we have, as I mentioned to you, the main thing is that if we go back to the old model, right? Old model means making this manufacturing far away. And first of all, this manufacturing unit, as to the best of my design, and we like to keep it probably as like the gas station or even the car garage, right? So it will be not a huge, but it will be much better aesthetically looking compared to a car garage that is existing right now. That is what I believe that we are trying to design. So I really respect the view of the neighbors because we like to work with the neighbors. And as I mentioned in the plan that I have submitted for the noise control and the loading and unloading and the school safety and so forth, right? I'll take care of, and I sincerely take care of those proposals and the plan in order to mitigate all the risk of this that has been discussed. Thank you.
Thank you. And can you just confirm the hours, the proposed hours of operation? Were they Monday to Friday? Am I recalling correctly?
Yes.
And starting when and ending when?
Okay. So originally we thought it would be like 8 o'clock, but because of the school, so we'll be not doing anything loading and unloading during the 7:30 to 8:30, right? Now, there will be some people will come, just like office hours. It will be like 8 to 5. That is our standard.
Okay, thank you.
Two questions. One, in response to the comments, what do you anticipate the truck traffic to be on delivering the finishing products? I understand as your business grows, that will obviously change, but what's your anticipation for the amount of truck traffic?
Okay, yeah. So right now, our goal is, based on the demand, we'll be probably producing 300 units a year from that plant, 300. Okay, so it will be like a maximum one unit, one SGH unit, smart greenhouse unit per day. So there will be only one load.
Okay. So, and I guess the other question is coming back to the issue of the retaining wall and the foliage. So far as I can tell, the retaining wall is before the slope where all of the trees and other foliage is, so that you're not anticipating taking down any foliage to build the retaining wall, but I can't tell if that's correct. So I'm not sure if somebody can speak to that issue, because I think that's one of the things that...
Yeah. I must admit that I'm not going to say anything which is not accurate. So based on the architect that we worked with and the team in the Syracuse department, that we are meeting all the guidelines as far as the foliage retention, as well as not to disturb the land unless it is needed. Okay. Thank you.
Other questions?
Couple of questions.
Please.
You indicated you had done this before. Had you manufactured greenhouses in Arizona?
No, we have not manufactured in a commercial, but we have manufactured units one by one on site.
And how many, over what period of time?
Okay. So this project, again, it started, this ACAT started in 2014 when we started, in 2014. At that time, I was still in China. So anyway, so we have manufactured on-site around 5 units, right? In Arizona, 5 units, but different capacity and different, and again, I'll be more than happy to present it, right? The design itself evolved significantly, and especially when we are building it for the winter season, right? So the design that we have in Arizona for the greenhouse itself is completely different than the one that we are building. We built one in Camillus, and that is exactly what we'd like to build in a commercial.
So it'll always be the same size. You'll always build the same size greenhouse and ship it each time.
Exactly. So our goal is that based on, again, we did some customer discovery during the whole time, and we find that probably 10 foot by 10 foot will be the optimum design.
My last question, have you or any of your representatives gone around to the neighbors to talk about your project?
Yes, not in that particular neighbor, but in Camillus, where we started this project. So we did work with some of the neighbors. And in fact, I'm very much involved with the West Genesis School District, where my own son went there.
Sure.
So CMS, Camillus Middle School, and in fact, I did work with the student, not only the teacher, so that we could give them, not give, but work with them so that the kids can learn how to use this kind of technology. And again, I've been very blessed that I have worked also with NYSERDA to make sure that not only in Camillus, but other school districts can take advantage of this technology. Because every student has they have a lunch program, right? In the lunch program, now they are getting food from outside, but perhaps in the future, if we could give this greenhouse, then some of the vegetables will be produced on the school campus itself, which will reduce the cost of the tax burden as well as it will be healthier.
Okay. But you have not talked to anyone in the neighborhood you're proposing your
Yes,
plans?
no, I have not had a chance to talk.
Okay, thank you.
But I'll be more than happy to do so.
Okay. All set.
I have so if I ordered a greenhouse from you, what type of truck would deliver it to my house?
What time?
What type of truck? How big a truck?
So the truck will be big enough to handle 10 by 10, right? It will be not a huge monster truck or anything like that, right? And
So it's a medium-sized panel
medium
truck?
size.
Okay. Thank you. And as far as the landscaping and sort of front visual of the building and the loading station, would you consider any kind of additional landscaping, additional greenery in the front, along the front of the building?
Yes, in the design, I think that we have already provided some
Oh, maybe I missed it. Okay, I'll check. Thank you.
Additional questions? The applicant? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We've heard comments for and/or against. We'll close public comment and turn our attention to our seeker review in a moment.
Mr. Chairman, I was wondering if we are prepared to go forward tonight, or if we need a little time to consider the project.
Totally open to that kind of suggestion.
I would also recommend, if we hold, that there be much further discussion between the applicant and the neighbors as a way of identifying what the substantive issues really are to be addressed.
If that's the sense of the body, we can place this on hold. If there's some direction for the applicant, I just heard some right here to my left right now, that would be helpful in terms of focusing discussion and conversation in the neighborhood with the applicant. But if there are additional topics or subjects that the commission is concerned about, this would be a good time to raise those by way of, not to discuss them here, but to kind of give the applicant a little bit of a list to work from as he's consulting with neighbors.
I would also suggest the applicant check with our staff and confirm that we have everything that is needed to go forward should that occur.
So I don't know if we need a motion or by consensus. If the applicant is in agreement, we can hold. Where'd he go? There he is. The commission would like to not act upon these two applications this evening and encourage you to have some additional dialogue or some dialogue with the neighbors around several of the issues that were raised this evening in the public comment period. So traffic being one, landscaping another. I'm recalling, and anyone else help me if I've overlooked a topic that's been raised here by way of a concern in proceeding with both the re-subdivision and the project that you wish to build.
Yeah, those seem to me to be the most specific concerns, some of which we actually raised too. So I would like some more clarification on the retaining wall, the foliage is going to remain, et cetera, because that's a concern to the neighbors down in the Meadowbrook area. Beyond that, there seems to be concern about just the idea of general manufacturing being in this particular zone. But that's a general concern. I'm not sure there's too much the applicant can do to address that.
Right.
What the zoning designation is.
And advise the applicant to reach back to our staff and double check and confirm the seeker finding.
Right. You know, and frankly, I do think it's a very interesting project. I hope the applicant can figure out a way to move forward at that particular site.
So you're agreeable to that pause and some dialogue with neighbors and then eventually back here after touching base with staff? Okay, thank you very much. Thank you to everyone who spoke this evening. Well, it'll be up to the timeline of the applicant to have the conversations, and when those have been held, and he signals to the staff that that's been done, we can add it to our schedule. This body meets about every 3 weeks, so I'm not sure it would be, those conversations would be completed in time for our next meeting, but they could be. And if not, one of the subsequent meetings is most likely. So in the short answer, no, I can't give a specific date when it will be back here, but it will be, the notification will go out in the same fashion as it did for this one, correct?
No.
No.
It will
Okay.
not, because it's already been advertised, so it will be listed on the public notice, but cards will not go out.
Okay.
But we could do cards. If
I think in this case
the
it might.
commission directs us to, we can do cards
I
again.
think that would be
That'd be
helpful. That would be helpful, given the level of interest.
But there seems to be a number of things, and in particular also some secret issues that the county raised that we want to investigate more deeply. So I would expect it's definitely not going to be on your next agenda, and maybe not the one after that.
We do have 2 meetings in December, so possibly you could
Yeah.
make it by the second meeting. Yes.
We'll send cards out again. When it's going to come back on, we normally wouldn't, because It's been advertised for the public hearing, so the commission is holding the item. The agenda will be posted, but the chair has directed us to send cards out again for this matter. So we will send neighborhood notification out again.
And the meeting dates are online for all the set meetings for this particular year. So there's 3 more meetings this year.
Okay, that is it for that item. We move on to yet another application this evening.
Next up is the Cathedral Candle Company PDD expansion project. I'm going to do a little bit more extensive introduction here to try to cue this up for them. The applicant will present 3 companion applications this evening, one being a master plan review, also a zoning map amendment, and a district plan amendment. So the whole project contains 4 parts. I just named 3 of them. It'll also include a re-subdivision. What we'll do is we'll hear them introduce the project to you and answer any questions. Then the commission will deliberate on seeker review for the whole project and decide on the master plan review, and then make recommendations and comments for the map amendment and the district plan amendment. This is a type 1 action, so prepare accordingly.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm Brad Hunt. I'm a lawyer at McKinsey Hughes. I represent Cathedral Candle Company, and I'm here with several of the owners and operators of the company from the Steigerwald family. Got Mark Steigerwald, Lou Steigerwald, Don Hogan, Don Steigerwald. As you know from the application materials, Cathedral Candle has been at its site on Kirkpatrick on the north side since 1897, and these are 4th and 5th generation members of the family that's owned and operated the company ever since then, and that hopes to stay for a very long time in the future, which is why we're here tonight with the current project. So what the current application seeks is to add 4 parcels to the planned development district. The district was established in 1999 and has been expanded 4 times since then. There are 3 parcels on Park Street at the back of the current site that we seek to add, and 1 on Carbon Street, also at the back. And the purpose of expanding the PDD to add these parcels is to enable the construction of a larger than previously planned warehouse building and new manufacturing area. And I think it's important to understand that the so-called new warehouse building and new manufacturing area that you see there on the proposed amended district plan, they do not currently exist. They need to be constructed. They were actually approved back in 2015 and are on the current approved district plan that was approved by the Planning Commission and by the Common Council more than a decade ago now. They have not been built since then, and we are now ready to proceed with the specific design and plan work to do the warehouse building, which is going to be the first phase of the actual construction, and expect to submit that project plan application within the next year. And so we're very aware that we'll need to do a full project plan submittal for that, as well as the re-subdivision application with all the plan details. What we're here for tonight is the addition of the parcels, the expansion of the zoning district, and the approval of the district plan, which is the more general plan, so that we can know that we have the district and that it's okay to move forward with the specific project planning and construction. The other kind of general point I would make is that the construction of these facilities, which again has been approved for 10 years now, will not actually change the operations of the company in any fundamental way. They've made candles for 128 years on this site. They're still going to make candles. Yeah. The main purpose of this proposal is to enable them to conduct their operations at this site more efficiently than they currently do. Currently, they have an off-site storage facility, and they have trucks that go often more than once a day between the offsite storage facility and this facility. So the plan is that actually this proposal will reduce the truck traffic to and from the site. And it's not expected to increase the need for parking at all. They employ almost 100 people, more than half of whom live within walking distance on the north side. And that's not expected to change. But it was very important to the company to be able to conduct its operations more efficiently, which will, make it easier to remain at this site for the very long term. So those are the basics. One other specific thing I would note is that of the 4 parcels that we're seeking to add to the PDD, one of them is actually currently on Park Street is currently vacant. There's no structure on it at all. Another has a burnt-out vacant home on it, and the other 2 that have been residences in the past have no active leases at this time. Those are the properties that we're seeking to add. They've got a long history of good relations with the neighbors that we certainly hope will continue. And also here with us tonight is Brittany Belding from the Landscape Architects, Appel Osborne, so she could tell you a little bit more in detail about the plans. And if you have any questions about that, could answer those. And the owners, as I said, are also here. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicant?
I have one question about the inclusion, I guess, of the additional properties into the PDD that appear to me they're not necessary for the additional construction for the manufacturing operations. So I'm just curious why those properties are included in the PDD.
They will be the proposed. They will enable the proposed new warehouse on the Park Street side and the proposed new manufacturing area on the Carbon Street side to be larger than what was previously planned and approved in 2015. So that's the basic purpose. Both those parts of the facility will be able to go further towards the back and be larger. That's the basic purpose.
That would extend all the way down to 1230 and 1228?
Correct.
Okay. Yes. Thank you.
I have a question. Will the new warehouse eliminate the need for additional off-site warehousing space or maintain it at its current level or eliminate that need altogether?
As I said, the expectation is that it will reduce the need to the extent that it will reduce truck traffic. Beyond that, I'm really not sure. I don't know if one of the owners wants to speak to that.
It won't reduce it altogether.
Okay, thank you. Additional questions for the applicant?
All set. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of one or more of these related applications? If so, please come forward, provide your name, address, and comments.
Good evening. My name is Marty Nave. I'm 1st District Councilor. I reside at 233 East Washington Street. I have spoken with Mr. Steigerwald. I had a tour of the facility last winter, and we did discuss this. What it will do is we're going to eliminate an eyesore on Park Street, and it's going to eliminate the trucks going down Pond Street. So it's going to be a larger facility. I think it's going to be easier for trucks to come in and out. But besides that, we are assuring our communities that we do support local businesses. And this business has been here for over 100 years. So I do ask the Planning Commission, after all is said, to please support this expansion. It is very much needed. and I will certainly encourage my colleagues on the Common Council to support this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Other individuals who wish to speak in favor of this application, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. Also provide your name, address, and comments. I see no one rising to speak, so we will close public comment on this set of applications. Turn our attention to a bit of work we need to do with our seeker review.
Has everyone had an opportunity to review the EAF Part 1 prepared by the, oh, sorry.
Hi. This is Zitong Wu. I'm the Director of Zoning. My address is 300 South State Street. As you see, my colleagues is delivering the seeker reasonings for the commissioners. So the full environmental assessment form Part 2 on page 180 has been prefilled with the suggestions from staff. I'm going to go through the Part 2 to see if commissioners agree with those suggestions. Additionally, staff has drafted Part 3, determination of significance, and a seeker resolution which could be used if commissioners decide to act on seeker tonight. Among the 18 impacts indicated in Part 2, staff recommend you check no to impact on geological features, as there are no unique geological features and no designated national nature landmarks on the project site. No to impact on surface water, as there is no wetlands or other surface water body exists on or adjacent to the property. A stormwater management system has been designed and coordinated with engineering department already and will be installed on the project site to prevent stormwater generated by the action flowing into the nearby properties. The action will be served by existing water infrastructure instead of withdrawing the water from the surface water. And no to the impact on groundwater, as the action will not result in any new or additional use of the groundwater. No to impact on flooding, as the action will not result in development on lands subject to flooding. No to impact on air, as the action will not include a state-regulated air emission source and will not require federal or state air emission permits. No to impact on plants and animals, as there is no threatened or endangered species or habitat and no national nature landmark on the site. No to impact on agricultural resources, as there are no agricultural resources on the site. No to impact on aesthetic resources, as action is not located near any scenic or aesthetic resources. No to impact on historic and archaeological resources, as action will not occur on or substantially contiguous to lands that have been listed or deemed eligible for the national or state register or archaeological sites. No to impact on open space and recreation, as no designated open spaces or recreational resources will be displaced by the action. No to impact on critical environmental areas, as the site does not contain any critical environmental area. No to impact on transportation, as the action will not add new parking spaces, nor degrade existing transit access and pedestrian or bike infrastructure. With the proposed expansion of the on-site storage and manufacturing area, the applicant will be able to conduct more storage and operations on site, thus reducing the number of trucks traveling between the property and the off-site areas. No to impact to noise, odor, and light, as the action will comply with the City of Syracuse noise ordinance to mitigate noise impact, will add new outdoor lighting, but will comply with the Syracuse zoning ordinance, which prohibits the light shining onto adjoining properties and will not result in having lighting creating sky glow brighter than existing area conditions. The action will not result in generating the odors or fumes during operations. No to impact to human health, as no blasting proposed and the project site does not have a history of contamination or spills. And the solid waste generated during the operation will be managed by following all state, federal, and local laws and regulations. No to consistency with the community plans, as the action is consistent with the procedure of the rezoning properties into planned development district, and is consistent with the land use and setback requirements regulated by the existing district plan. The existing land use has been in the neighborhoods for 128 years, and the proposed land use will remain the same. Thus, it is not in sharp contrast to the surrounding neighborhood. No to consistency with community character, as the action will not replace or eliminate existing facilities, structures, or area of historic importance to the community, will not create a demand or additional community services, will not interfere with the use of enjoyment of official public resources, and is designated to be consistent with the predominant architectural scale and character of the surrounding properties. The action will continue to provide landscaping buffers along the property boundary and setbacks from the public streets and nearby properties. Therefore, the staff determined that action is highly unlikely to have significant adverse impacts on the above 16 aspects. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Then the staff recommend you check yes to following impacts. Impact on land. This action does involve construction and physical alteration of lands. Therefore, we recommend that the board answer this question yes. Does the board agree?
Yes.
The sub-question A through G are asking about the depths to water table, slope of the site, exposed bedrocks, excavation and removal of natural materials, potential erosions, duration of the construction, and if the action is in a coastal erosion hazard area. Based on the information provided in Part 1 of the FEAF and its response letter, the supplementary materials and the action will not involve construction on land with shallow water table, steep slopes, or within a coastal erosion hazard area. No excavation, mining, or dredging is proposed in this action, and a stormwater management system has been designated and will be installed. Therefore, I recommend you check no or small impact for the sub-questions A, B, D, F, and G. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Sub-question C indicates that the project may involve construction on land where the bedrocks is generally within 5 feet of the existing ground surface. No blasting or driving of piles is being proposed by the project, and no construction of the underground levels is proposed as confirmed by the applicant. Thus, the action is not likely to have significant adverse impact on bedrocks. Sub-question E indicates that the project is anticipated to be completed within 2 or 3 phases. The long-term construction do trigger concern on noise impact on nearby properties. Per the response, the action will comply with the City of Syracuse noise ordinance to mitigate noise impact during the construction. Therefore, I recommend you check no or small impact for the sub-questions C and E. Does the board agree?
Yes.
2, impact on energy. The action will increase the demand for energy as this action is to expand operation of a manufacturing business. Therefore, we recommend that the board answer this question yes. Does the board agree?
Yes.
However, the action is highly unlikely to result a significant adverse impact to the energy because, firstly, the action will not require a new or an upgrade to an existing substation. Secondly, the action will not involve heating or cooling of more than 100,000 square feet of the building area. Thirdly, the action will take place in an already urbanized area with existing electricity infrastructure. Therefore, I recommend you check no or small impact for the sub-question A, B, C, and D. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Okay, so in conclusion, the Commission, as lead agency in this coordinated review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has thoroughly reviewed all relevant materials and has taken a hard look and analyzed all aspects of the action. For all the reasons set forth above, the Commission determines that action will not have any significant adverse impact on the environment, and therefore an environmental impact statement need not to be prepared. Accordingly, the Commission issues a negative declaration to be filed, and notice of the negative declaration will be provided pursuant to all applicable laws and regulations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That completes the seeker review for this multi-part project. And the individual components of this we would take up separately, and all of which I believe will move to the Common Council for final action. So with that, addressing these one at a time, the major site plan review, that's MASPR 2522, is outlined in the presentation a few moments ago. Is there a motion for recommendation to the council on, or no, that doesn't go to the council, but major site plan review motion?
So just a quite clarifying question, because it's a major site plan review, which doesn't normally go to the Common Council, but because it's in a PDD, does that change that criteria? Or?
No, so think of
Okay.
this as it's actually a master plan review,
Right.
since it's in a PDD, but it's similar to a major site plan review.
Okay.
Not in a PDD.
So it does not have to go to Common Council. Okay,
Correct.
thank you. So I make a motion to approve MASPR-25-22 as presented with three special conditions beyond the general conditions. First special condition is the owner applicant shall obtain approvals for the zoning map amendment Z-2911 and district plan amendment Z-2910, which we will be considering tonight. Two, the owner applicant shall obtain necessary approval from the city before commencing construction of the proposed new warehouse, blending area, and manufacturing area. And three, the owner applicant shall continue working with the city departments to address any concerns related to the project.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion before us for the master plan review. Okay, if no discussion, all in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye. 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 Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The motion for the master plan review is approved for MASPR 2522. Bringing us next to the zoning map amendment. Both this and the district plan amendment will require council approval, so our action takes the form of a recommendation that will be transmitted to the Common Council for final disposition. So taking first the zoning map amendment, that's Z-2911, in connection with the project outlined earlier this evening. Is there a motion for action on the zoning map amendment in the form of a recommendation?
Make a motion to approve C-2911 with a recommendation for affirmative action by the Common Council and two special conditions beyond the general conditions. One is the owner applicant shall obtain approval of master plan review MSAP-2522, a zoning map amendment, and Z-2910. And two, the owner applicant shall obtain necessary approval from the city before commencing construction on the proposed units that are under construction.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there discussion? If not, all in favor of the motion before us, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? The zoning map amendment recommendation Z-2911 is approved and will move to the Common Council. And lastly, for this particular project, the district plan amendment, that is Z-2910, that too will go to the council for final action. But is there a motion or a recommendation to the council on the district plan amendment?
Sure. Make a motion to approve Z-29-10, a district plan amendment with two special conditions. One, the owner, recommendation of the Common Council for affirmative action with two special conditions. One, the owner applicant shall obtain approvals for the master plan review, which has happened tonight, and zoning map amendment Z-2911, which awaits Common Council approval. And the owner applicant shall obtain all necessary approvals from the city before commencing construction.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Discussion on this motion for the district plan amendment. If not, all in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? Motion carries. This will be presented to the Common Council for final action. Thank you. Good luck with your project. Good luck for the next 128 years.
Thank you. Thank you for your time and consideration.
And we move to our next application.
Next is another major site plan review with a companion re-subdivision. This is for the Onondaga Hotel and Convention Center. It includes R-25-48, which is the resub, and major site plan review MASPR-25-24, represented by CHA Consulting. This is in the MX5 zone district.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening. Brian Bouchard with CHA Consulting. So we're the project engineer working on behalf of the owner and applicant for this project, which is the Onondaga Hotel and Convention Center. And also with me is Dave Newman from Syracuse Lodging Associates, who is the owner and applicant for this project too. This is a really exciting one to be a part of. I've mentioned this at a few of my previous meetings, so I promise, Dave, this will probably be the last time that I have to say it, but there were several other projects that I was a part of that really took old, previously constructed hotels and found them a new use through renovation with some of the multifamily and affordable components that came by way of the rezoned Syracuse. So that's, Genesee Grand Hotel, the Mayflower, the Crown Plaza renovation, all of which were good adaptive reuse projects for those existing structures. And I think at the time, at the end of one of the meetings, I mentioned that hopefully by way of, taking some of those hotel rooms offline, that it would give a developer an opportunity to bring what's essentially new, modern hotel rooms with modern convention space, the things that's going to continue to attract all of the events that we have here connected to Syracuse University and our sports teams and everything else that happens downtown. So this is really exciting. So to give you a brief overview, as staff mentioned, there's two companion pieces, one being the re-subdivision and then the site plan review application. By way of the re-subdivision, this property, which exists at the corner of South Warren Street and East Fayette Street, is currently 4 existing parcels containing 3 vacant parcels and then the existing parking garage structure that total. In aggregate, the 4 parcels about 1.15 acres. All of the properties are MX5 zoning district, and they would be combined into one contiguous parcel to support the new development project. So the map that you see on the screen here, north is actually to the left-hand side of the page with East Fayette there, and South Warren Street is on the bottom of the page. Probably skip to the next slide here to start talking about the new project. So this is a copy of the site plan, so you can see typical urban infill development here. We've utilized all of the required setbacks to keep the building in line with all the other downtown buildings on South Warren Street, so utilizing the majority of the parcel here. This project will be, in terms of its site plan, very minimal. It'll be reconstructing the streetscape because there'll be occupation of that right away just to make way for the new construction, temporary logistics and things like that. So at the end of the project, this would be a reconstructed streetscape with new tree pits, snow shelf, all of the things that you see that are matching out there, improved sidewalks, and then our needs for accessing that parking garage by way of the new curb cuts and driveways. From this first floor in the site plan, there would also be the things that you would expect with an entrance to the hotel lobby, the corner restaurant that would be on the corner, and then everything concealed within the building, but also space for back-of-house services, deliveries, and trash, et cetera, off of South Warren Street. More generally, this is the construction of a 10-story, a new 10-story building that will provide, as I said, some of that much-needed convention center space within the downtown area. So it will be a hotel and convention center, but it also does have attached commercial, which is likely to be restaurant space on the corner. You can start going to the first floor plan. I'll just walk you up the building real quick so you know what we're putting in it. The first floor, as you can imagine, provides the garage entrances on South Warren Street and an exit onto East Fayette Street. In the center of the building there, you can see right next to that garage entrance would be an area for the valet and security with the hotel entrance and lobby just to the east of that off South Warren, so right in the middle of the building. The south end of Warren Street would be some of our necessary mechanical equipment, everything being screened within the building here. So things like the fire command center, sprinkler systems, and mechanical rooms would be in the south corner of the building there, accessible to the utility providers. And then sort of behind that space, towards the top of the page, would be a lot of the back of house services. So there's some office space, staff offices, laundry, housekeeping, and storage there. On the corner, which is the hard corner of South Warren Street and East Fayette, there would be 4,500 square foot restaurant space right on that intersection. And this is actually entrance off of the street for the first floor of that restaurant. But as we flip to the next page, you'll see that as you enter that space, there's going to be a second floor that looks down onto the bar area there too. So it is a two-story restaurant space that overlooks that first floor. And yep, this is perfect. You can just walk through here.
Brian, on the first
Sure.
floor, before you get to the second floor, is the 53 bike storage space, is that on the first floor? Is that...
Correct. That's the first floor of the garage. So there was, and hopefully it made it into this slideshow, but I did send Zitong it's actually on the floor. You go, do you have the page that I had sent to you with those bike storage racks? So a portion of that garage, you come in off the street and a portion of it is a dead end, essentially right. So this is the ramp that comes up, so you can see the low overhead height. So there's an extension of the storage area right here that has bike parking. That wasn't noted on the original submission, but that was one of the staff comments that came forward from the zoning office, was to ensure that we provided adequate bike storage, and we went through those calculations with staff and provided them with an amended figure to address that comment. Just walking back up so this is obviously the first floor, floors 2 through 4, aside from that extension of the second floor restaurant, floors 2 through 4 fill out the parking garage that we'll be providing. So there is a ramp that comes up to all the way up to the fourth floor here, and you can see that restaurant dining area that would be on the second floor looking down upon the lobby as you enter the restaurant space in the corner there. If you keep going up after the parking garage, we have floors 5 through 9 would be 5 floors of the hotel rooms. So this is a very stacked, typical floor plan for the guest rooms within the hotel being on those 5 through 9th floors. And then when you go all the way to the top floor, this is the 10th floor, which is going to be where the convention center is located. So when we get to that 10th floor, which should be the next one, I think, here. Perfect. You'll see right on that corner is the grand ballroom. So this is 4,000 square feet of ballroom banquet space that would look out over East Fayette Street in the corner there. In the center of this 10th floor is 8,000 square feet of flexible convention center space. So you could picture sort of the pre-function area and some of those breakout rooms and restrooms that'll be flexible for anybody wanting to have a convention center here or a convention here. And then over on the south end of the building is the restaurant for the hotel, the restaurant lounge, and the lobby and dining bar area. Just behind that is some of the kitchen and prep space for both the convention areas and the restaurant space there too. So in aggregate, what we have is, first floor with the access to the parking garage and that restaurant space, 4,500 square feet. The parking garage fills out as about 321 parking spaces. Floors 5 through 9 are 248 hotel rooms. And then in aggregate, we're providing over 26,000 square feet of convention, banquet, and restaurant space. Throughout this process, we've spent the better part of a year on this. We have addressed several comments from pre-development meetings and staff meetings. We went through all of the staff comments that have been circulated for your site plan review packets, and at least to my knowledge, in coordinating with Zitong this morning, we've addressed them all to date, and I don't think there was any lingering. But these did include things like the Transportation Department providing them a traffic study. They had some comments on it. We revised the traffic study to account for some of the growth with the I-81 corridor and community grid, and sent that back to the city transportation planner, and he was satisfied with those. We also met probably a week and a few days ago with the Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board, because this does exist in downtown, and all of downtown is considered part of the historic fabric of Syracuse. Previously in the spring, they went through with the applicant the ability to formally resolve the demolition of the existing garage. So our meeting a week and a half ago with them was to show them the new construction and compatibility with the character of the downtown area, and believe that they also provided to you a positive recommendation for this as well. There was a few comments with some of the computer-generated images and clarifications that we sent right back to Kate in her office shortly after that meeting, and she was satisfied. And then obviously the bike parking, Barry, which you already picked up, that was added to the plan based on staff review. We do have, yeah, if you want to just go, do we have the rendering, the street perspective rendering that we can end on here? Maybe not. Oh, it's still loading. Okay, sorry. There it is. Perfect. So photorealistic image of what you would see. To explain this to you, we did go through this with Syracuse Landmark Preservation Board, but there is a multicolored tile, sort of a large format tile that is essentially what's beyond that is the elevator area. And this was chosen by the architect as a large format tile to express that elevator core essentially as a vertical element, and drew upon all of the downtown area and locale for some of the historic motifs and some of this art deco influences that are in the surrounding area for that piece too. The only other thing that I want to mention is that for this board's benefit, we have been working with SIDA pretty extensively, and during their sequence of events, they did adopt their lead agency status and did already go through the seeker resolution for this project, so that was completed by them. And then truly just our excitement to get this project underway. Obviously, this is dealing with that existing garage, which is in disrepair and it's been condemned, needs to come down as quick as possible. Dave and I have talked about the project timeline, which hopefully after tonight's meeting can come into place in terms of submitting building permits as soon as the next couple weeks, so that he can start progressing through the closing on his financing with the project to start construction January 1st.
Brian, at one point, there was a rendering that showed an effort to retain the parking sign as a historical feature.
Yes.
But that seems to have disappeared.
Nope, actually, it may have blended into the photorealistic simulation here, but that was one piece that we decided to keep.
Oh, there it is. Okay, I see. Right. I got distracted by the colorful column going up in the elevator. Tower.
I will mention that we have had extensive conversations about taking that down before the garage falls onto it, salvaging it, returning it to its former glory, and using it above our new garage entrance. It will translate in space to match our new garage entrance, so it's moving north a little bit along that, but we will save that. There will still be the desire to have some building-mounted signage in terms of the Onondaga Hotel. But just to say this to the Planning Commission, we have not included any of the signed package for your review and approval this evening. There's a few complicated things that happen with those signs in terms of their projection out into the right-of-way, and other things that we would need to go through in terms of an encroachment permit. And those would have to be taken at a later time, and we would certainly come back to the Planning Commission for any reasoning behind what might happen with the encroachments, and justify that for you all as a separate signage item. In particular, we're more excited about getting the project approved.
Wow, thank you. That's a lot. Questions for the applicant?
Where are we with the branding for the hotel and the two restaurants?
In terms of the branding and the name?
Yeah.
It's being called the Onondaga Hotel and Convention Center. I'm pretty sure that's the way it'll stick, right?
I mean, is there a tie-in to a national chain? Or?
Oh, Onondaga Hotel. So Dave can correct me if I'm misspeaking this, but there used to be an Onondaga Hotel on this block. So it was historic. It was demolished. I don't know what the time period was. And I believe it's where the Icon Towers is currently. So modern construction was built in its way, essentially. Obviously the parking garage exists, but isn't necessarily historic. But the old hotel looked very similar to this, and a lot of what you see in terms of its architecture was drawn from the previous Onondaga Hotel that it was at the corner of South Warren and East Fayette. So it's a nod to history, essentially.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, the actual operator. Sorry, I thought you meant the name of the building for branding. It'll be a Hilton Curio branded hotel. Yep.
Further questions?
Brian, can you just clarify the access in the back for the Y?
Yes, I know that Dave has been working extensively with the Y because there is some egress there. Our building, both in terms of temporary and construction, he has agreements with the Y. They've met several times with them in code enforcement to make sure that life safety during construction is met. And then there's also a permanent solution after the building is built to continue to allow that access as needed. Yeah, there's a gap currently between the new building and the Pavone's building that doesn't exist today. So essentially, we'll still be able to egress not only our own building out that small alleyway, but continue to provide the Y that access as well. Mm-hmm.
There's no questions? Okay, thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward to provide your comments.
Evening. My name is Kevin Schwab. I'm with Center State CEO. We're an economic development organization and business leadership organization based here in Syracuse, over at 115 West Fayette Street. Just wanted to make a couple of brief comments in support of this project. First of all, it's hard to have anybody do better at this than Brian, to be frank. So I'm going to be brief and touch on the project, the impact, and say a couple of words about the developer and how fortunate I think we are in all three aspects here on this project. We're talking about 245 new hotel rooms that we sorely need in Syracuse. In part, it's Brian's fault because he helped people convert other hotel rooms to apartments. But we really do need a project like this, and I could not think of a better place to put it. An amenity-rich new hotel to complement the incredibly successful historic Marriott downtown Syracuse right down the street only strengthens our central business district and our ability to attract conventions and conferences to the city. This is an $87 million investment, 330 construction jobs that will pay very well during this process, more than 50 permanent jobs once this hotel is up and running. Right now, we are struggling, frankly, in the early phases of the added business that we see in the city to accommodate folks coming in and out, whether it be for Micron or other projects that we have underway. We know we need more hotel space. This is going to be incredibly important to meet that demand that is only going to increase in the months and years ahead. We also know that, frankly, we need to get rid of this eyesore on Warren Street, and I couldn't think of a better way to do this and to meet the needs of the community. Warren Street has come a long way in the last few years. This panel, this commission, as you know, was incredibly instrumental in helping to get the redevelopment of and the expansion of the former Tech Garden into the new Inspire Innovation Hub. And from that building to the north, you can look and see the momentum we have on Warren Street, whether it's Impel, whether it's Sidearm Sports, whether it's Ephesus. Literally hundreds, perhaps more than 1,000 jobs total downtown stemming from what we've seen emerging from Warren Street. This will only help keep that momentum. And the developer, the final thing I wanted to make sure that we touched on. Sun Development is a virtual highlight reel of successful hotel projects around the country. Look at LA, look at Dallas, look at Austin, Orlando, Atlanta, the New York City metro area, and soon, hopefully, Syracuse. They are an award-winning developer and owner of dozens of hotels, more than 4,000 hotel rooms around the country. We are fortunate that they want to be here. We have a lot to offer. We certainly are glad to see them trying to take advantage of the momentum here in Syracuse and build something suited for the time that we are in. So we appreciate your consideration, and I'm proud to offer our support for this developer and this project.
Thank you, Kevin. Additional speakers in favor of this application, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments.
Good evening, Josh Royce. I'm here tonight on behalf of the YMCA of Central New York, 340 Montgomery Street, a neighbor who is excited to support this application of our potential neighbor coming into the neighborhood. Over the last few months, Dave and their team have been great to work with. Many conversations, answering all of our questions of what the Y will be having to kind of work through the months of construction and after construction. I think we're really excited about the growth. This is another step forward for the revitalization of our downtown. So we happily support this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Other speakers in favor of this application, please come forward. Anyone wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward. Provide your name, address, and comments.
William Pitcher of WJP Architecture, speaking for St. Paul's Church. I'm also chairman of the Buildings and Grounds Committee of St. Paul's Church. We have two concerns that have not been addressed and which we have become aware of recently. One is the data cable that passes through the Warren Street parking garage, which provides all of the existing data, voice, and communication systems for the church. And we are asking, as a condition of the approval and the building permit, that this cable be temporarily relocated and protected for continuation of service while the Warren Street garage is being demolished. Do you have that drawing? I have a drawing of the site plan to explain it. Basically, the cable comes out of Warren Street Communications, goes through the garage, it goes along the east wall of the garage. Yes. Okay. Along the east wall of the garage, at the northeast corner, there's a junction box, and one overhead cable from that junction box goes to the Lafayette building on East Fayette. Then it jumps over the alleyway and goes along the old Masonic Temple building, jumps our alleyway and goes into our building. The third cable coming out of the box is attached to the west wall of the old Masonic Temple and heads towards the YMCA. So there may be other properties that would be affected by this cable being disturbed and cut. We've recently discovered that we do not have any underground communications cables or conduits into the church building itself, so alternate pathways are very difficult, and we'd like to talk to the hotel developers about alternate pathways. See what we can do is somehow we're either going to have to do an easement or passage through the hotel property, or we're going to have to dig up Fayette Street or Montgomery Street to put underground conduits in. We have another problem that the Montgomery Street, when the water main was put in, the city made a 5-year moratorium on any digging of Montgomery Street for new construction. We still have about I think, 3 years in that moratorium, which precludes doing that. The only other conduit that we have is at the corner here. You can't see it on the screen. At the corner of Fayette and Montgomery, there is a communications manhole in the middle of the street. We could dig up that entire intersection. That's the nearest manhole to the church. So this is something that we want to discuss and figure out how to go forward. We're just concerned in the immediate future of preserving that cable and not losing all of our voice data services. That's the first issue. The second issue is that there is an easement where the word Lafayette building says there. There's a 10-foot easement. On our property survey, it says that is an easement. We don't know who holds the rights to that easement. Further, there are some questions about adverse possession, whether the 40 years that we've used the what used to be the post-standard building and the bank building, where the word overhead is, that's at your corner there. The city put up a fence which aligns with the Lafayette building, and they basically walked away from the 10%, the 10 feet of the hotel property, which has been used for parking. We don't know if there are if other neighbors have easement rights. So there's a whole question of easement and who owns which part of the property and who can do which with the property, which we would like to discuss and have further investigation. It needs to be gone through all the old deeds, and we need to see how whatever easement was passed. I have found an old form in the church that the Kingsley house, which was basically our parking lot, which was the Echo Theater site. The Kingsley did not have access to Fayette Street, but had an easement from the Lafayette building to get to it. But when we look at our present survey runs right up along the Fayette building. So there must be somewhere in all of this back and forth, there must have been a re-subdivision that took it, the easement from the Fayette building back into the total parcel for the Echo Theater. So there's questions of where the easement went and how it went. Those are our two basic concerns.
Could you clarify, excuse me, so you're not actually speaking against the project, but you need to have those concerns addressed?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Opposition?
Well, before this speaker sits down, I was just going to ask, were there any other clarifying questions from other commission members?
No, thank you. Do you know who owns the data cable?
It's Spectrum. We had the Spectrum engineer over about 2 weeks ago, and we traced the path and confirmed on his drawings that it is passing through the garage. And that's where we discovered the additional cables and the junction box. We were talking to them about possibly upgrading service, and we were looking for a pathway for fiber optic. But the existing pathway of the cable would not be available for the fiber optic without doing something.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you. Other individuals in opposition to the application, please come forward, provide your name, address, and
Good
your
evening.
comments.
Frederick P. Davies. I own Putnam Properties, which in turn owns the Lafayette Building, 210 East Fayette Street, Syracuse, New York. I need to address quickly on the easement. We assert that easement is Lafayette Building because that's the way to go along the side of Lafayette Building and get into the back of our building. And we've used it over the years to do reconstruction and all sorts of things. So I know that's not this hearing this evening, just to let people know, we consider that our easement. Now, I wonder if you could go back to the Onondaga, and there's an aerial, I believe, in there, because I want to show you the Lafayette Building. Yeah. Okay. Is there an aerial? Okay, I mean, okay. If I may. Lafayette Building, we have a path through here, which is, I call it a brick pathway or driveway, whatever. And then we have some area back here. I have a lot of involvement with side of them years ago in terms of getting a little extra there. So we've got 6 feet back here. We have a gate to do. So that's the Lafayette Building. When I first saw the advertisement on, I'm not sure where it was, we're going to build this new system. I think that was early in the spring, maybe late summer. I called CIDA because I knew CIDA owned the lots that are looking for the subdivision. I called CIDA and said, what's going on? And I said, I'd like to see some plans. So they said, fine, we'll show you the plans. Weeks went by, no plans. Finally, I get this artist rendition of it, but that was it. I've asked repeatedly for the plans, and then surprisingly, I get a little card from you folks that, oh, by the way, here are all the plans. So this is all news to me about all of these plans, because I've been asking about this repeatedly, because it really does affect my building. I mean, it's building on 2 sides of the Lafayette Building, which is an historic section. So I'm not in opposition, and I want to make this clear. I'm not in opposition of tearing down the parking lot. It needs to go. I'm not in opposition of creating more parking. I'm not in opposition of building a hotel. My opposition deals with what's going to happen, what's the impact on my building. That's my concern. So I want to address a couple of things this evening, but the bottom line is what I'm asking for to do is to keep this hearing open so that I can finally meet with the developers, because CIDA never introduced me to the developers. I've never talked to them. I find it interesting that they've talked to all these other people, the YMCA, everybody else, but they've never talked to me, which I find very curious. But in any event, what I'd like to do is just talk a little bit about my building and then just some of the issues that I have based upon the very short time period I had to pull it off the website, because I got that card Friday in the mail. So just bear with me. This isn't everything. I'm just trying to give you a sense of what we're looking for. I bought the building 22 years ago, and I fell in love with it because when I went upstairs, it had a 360-degree view. Big, giant windows all the way around, all the way down through the building. Windows that you could open. I mean, really open. I mean, big screens, everything else. It had beautiful views. It had great air. We don't even use the electricity in our building most of the time. The windows are so big unless it's dark outside. It's just lit up because of all of the light. Well, as I said, CIDA owned those lots down there. And it used to be that there were 2- or 3-story buildings to the west of the building. So as a result, we had beautiful views, light, lots of air, different things. Now with this idea of a 10-story building, what they're going to do is they're going to completely block this side of my building and this side of my building. So the views are gone, the air's gone, the light is gone. So to me, that's a big deal for a historic building, that we shouldn't just be all of a sudden changing its utility and also its value, because the value of this building is going to drop dramatically based upon what we're talking about. So there are a couple of things that I do want to talk about that are really critical to me as this building owner. First of all, this exit out of the garage. They're talking about 317 parking spaces in this building, all of them exiting out here, where the corner is right here, so people come around too fast most of the time. Now we're going to have a stream of cars going out of here, I don't know which way. I have trouble getting out onto East Fayette Street just when I come out from my parking lot here just to go home. So now they're going to tow another 317 potentially cars going in and out of this, no, just going out of this garage. This makes no sense to me at all. Because if you look at the former garage, it had in and out both on South Warren Street. Made sense. From what I can tell by looking at the plans, of course, I haven't had a chance to really study them, is they're talking about putting some kind of a traffic device on South Warren, which makes sense because we've got the parking garage in the Barclay Damon building and this one on the other side so that we can control the traffic. So it makes complete sense to me to have ingress and egress here, not flooding into East Fayette Street, which used to be a wide boulevard. But if you remember, they've narrowed it, put in big sidewalks, put in bike lanes, and now we're down to one going each way, which is congested. Now you're going to put all of these cars into here and increase the congestion dramatically. So one of the things I'd like to talk to the developers about, would they consider maybe making this a little bigger, ingress, egress, you've got your traffic device here, and then we're not flooding cars into East Fayette Street, which if you've ever been on there in rush hour, I can't get out of it. I just have to sit and wait because there's so many cars that back up at the traffic light. So if you're trying to make a left turn, forget it. Right turn, you can sometimes get out, but down the middle of the day, it's not too bad. So one of my concerns is adding 317 parking spaces with cars flooding out of here into a road that is narrow with bicycle lanes and pedestrians. There are a lot of people who walk past my building. And me with my little cutout right over here, what happens if they make a quick right turn? I'm here. Bam. So that has a major concern for me in terms of safety and also just utility of the area. Now the next thing, and I'm sorry, and they're not necessarily the priority of how important they are. I'm just kind of, as I said, I looked at this thing very quickly. I haven't had a chance to really digest it. Quite frankly, this sounds okay. It's wonderful. I didn't know a lot about this building, even though I own the building that they're wrapping themselves around. So then the next thing is noise and air pollution. If we've got all of these cars going in and out of there, what are their plans for noise pollution? What are their plans for particulates in the air, for all the emissions that are coming off of these cars? Now, are they planning on putting some kind of fans there? But then where are the fans going to blow? Are they going to blow up into my building? Prevailing winds are from the west. They're going to blow into the top of my building, and now these fumes are going to go down into my building because that's where I get my fresh air from, the roof of my building. So I don't know what they're going to do. I don't know if they even have a plan concerning emissions from cars. I don't know about noise. I mean, we have a very quiet office building. You know, my law firm sits on the 6th and 7th floors. What are they going to do about noise? I don't know. There's nothing in there that talks about noise. So that's an area I'm concerned about. Another one is drainage. If they build this building around here, there's no place for the water to drain out of my patio. Right now, it's draining into the parks. What's the plan for drainage? There's nothing that I could see that's in there. Then we've got the windows that, if I understand reading the plans right, is they're going to have hotel windows that are going to be looking into my windows in my building approximately 10 feet. So we're going to have conversations with the people that are in the hotel. They're getting that close. That doesn't make sense to me. I'm sorry if I seem animated. It's because I am. I apologize for that. And then the last thing is just, this building, as I said, has been a spectacular building for its views. It's been around for a very long time. Hundreds and hundreds of different businesses have gone in and out of here. Egon Ehrenspiel was on the 3rd floor. It took me 2 years to get rid of the pink paint on the walls. It was unbelievable. But there's a tremendous history of what goes on in this building, and I think it's worth it to protect it, to save it a little bit. Now, here's the thing, though, as I said before, I'm not against the project, but how about talking to me? And let's talk about what we can do to look at this thing. I mean, have they considered more of a tower going up like the Barclay Damon building, which gives beautiful views of the city, instead of being low and looking into the windows of my building? I don't know. I wouldn't rent a room that looks into a building 10 feet away with people in their office. So I don't know. I don't know. So anyway, I'm very glad that I got your little card, because I had no idea this was going on. Because SIDA, I'm not blaming anybody, but I've been contacting them regularly, all the time, and they never gave me these plans until I found them on your website saying it'll be posted in 72 hours before this hearing. So what I'm asking for is time. Time to get all the information. I don't know if they did, they must have done traffic, some kind of a traffic. So I can talk with these developers and work with them so that my building can still be a good viable building, but also build this beautiful building they want to build.
Thank you. Thank you. So, sure. Brief.
Can you go down a little bit on the... This is the easement that we have been talking about. This is the edge of the property line. This is the old post-standard building, which was replaced by a bank in 1949. And there was a drive-through that came through here, and on the last 10 feet, came out here. And then we also have this existing alleyway between the Masonic Temple and the new thing. So the question is this easement, this particular chunk of land from here over to the Masonic Temple is where the Syracuse Industrial Authority put the fence between the park and between the asphalt that was paved in our parking lot. Since 1979, when the theater was demolished, that area was paved continuously. Apparently, they are acknowledging the existence of the asphalt. And the question is, have we created an easement on that property for parking by use over 40 years? And that's one of the easement questions we wish to have found out.
Thank you. Other people wishing to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward.
I'm the Reverend Philip Major. I'm the priest of St. Paul's Church, and I'm also the legal representative for St. Paul's Church. And like Fred, the first time I heard any of these details, I mean, I had heard in the newspaper that this hotel was going to be built, and I am totally in favor of the redevelopment of downtown Syracuse. I love the fact that I can barely turn out onto East Fayette Street now to get out of the church parking lot. But this has an enormous impact on us, and this is the very first I've heard any of these details. If I can just point out something on the plan here. So this is our church parking lot, which accommodates about 40 cars. We rent these out to people who work downtown Monday through Saturday, and then they're used by church members on Sunday. This right away here is essentially our entrance into the parking lot. The rest of this space often being filled with cars. So obviously this is really important for our members, many of whom are handicapped, have handicap tags, and need to have access close to a new entrance, which we actually just opened on the west side of our building. I don't know if you saw it, but the mayor was there for our ribbon cutting on Friday afternoon at noon, just about 4 hours before I got this postcard in the mail about this. So we've put a lot into making this side of the building a lot more usable for us. And our church is not the only group that uses the parking lot. St. Paul's is kind of a center for arts all over downtown. The Syracuse Orchestra will hold 12 concerts there this year. PACNY, the Preservation Association of Central New York, will hold their meeting there in about 6 weeks. Syracuse Community Choir, Syracuse Pops Chorus. We have many groups using the church and also really using this parking lot. I'll just tell you, our long-term plan for the parking lot was, point this out on the map, this is our entrance in right here. We know that as the church gets used more for a performance facility over the years, because it's just increasing by the year, this new entrance that we built into the church, which is, you can't see, but it would be on the side of the parking lot, we need to establish a good drop-off so people are not just like parked in front of Fayette Street, dropping off traffic, because we're trying to deal with the traffic by having a covered, yeah, you can see it right here. So our new entrance is right in here. We're trying to deal with this increase in use in our facility by having a U-shaped parking lot facility where people can get dropped off right at the main new entrance doors here. So it won't be clogging up Fayette Street. That was our purpose in doing that. So we're in the middle of, we just finished a $2.5 million renovation in the building. Now we're starting to work on the parking lot. And actually, we just had a meeting of our board a week ago about repaving the parking lot itself. That was the first step. And the second step was to put in a new exit so we could get that drop off. So again, I'm not against having the hotel. This is the first time I've had any contact, and I am the legal representative of St. Paul's Church. And so to have it presented to us this way is, it's quite surprising. And I would love to have some more time. Again, the church has been using this access lane for over 50, no, not for over 50 years, about 46 years now. So thank you.
Thank you. Other individuals who wish to speak in opposition to the application, please come forward.
Very briefly, I'm Brad Hunt from McKinsey Hughes. I just wanted to let everyone know that Mr. Davies just retained me for this matter today. And obviously, this has all been kind of last minute, so I don't really have anything substantively to add. We're hoping for a chance to communicate with the developers, and I just wanted to say we'd be willing certainly to work with them to make that happen quickly, because we understand that there's a desire to move this project along. Thank you.
Thank you. Other individuals wishing to speak in opposition, please come forward. In that case, Brian, if you were here at the very beginning or from previous practice, you know that when comments are offered in opposition, we also afford the applicant an opportunity to address some of those comments in opposition. So here's an opportunity to do that this evening.
I would be happy to. So first, Dave Newman, who's with me here tonight, has assured me that he has reached out on numerous occasions to all of his neighbors. Obviously, has worked extensively with the YMCA, but did reach out specifically to the Lafayette Building and St. Paul's Church to bring them through the sequence of events that led us to today as well. That's fine. I'm just telling you, and I didn't interrupt you when you were talking. Thank you. So that collaboration and reach out effort did happen. It sounds like there was a few, comments and questions related to traffic, which is very reasonable. The existing parking garage has 400 spaces. We're providing 350. So there's inherently a reduction in the parking that would be used, which you can find in the traffic study. I would clarify that the entrance, although there's an arrow there is an entrance that will be an entrance and exit. It's a two-way entrance and exit onto South Warren Street. So this would give the ability for people going northbound on South Warren Street not to use the Fayette entrance and try and take a left out of there. There's a lot of other things dealing with air emissions, and some of those types of questions obviously are part of the seeker process, which is complete, but I will answer them. There are a lot of code and rules that apply to parking garages in terms of both their either mechanical ventilation or open air venting. So those are all covered by building codes. And then also proximity and separation to property lines is also something that's inherent in the New York State Building Code in terms of the amount of glazing and percentage of windows that you can have within certain distances to the property lines too. The entire improvements that are proposed are contained within the private property that the project will be developed on. So we're not relying upon any usage of any neighboring properties to facilitate the project. Almost everything else that I heard, to me, thankfully, sounded like a lot of private to private property owner issues that certainly still need to be resolved. Some of them Dave and I haven't even heard of in terms of the telecommunication lines, and probably some old skeletons that exist in terms of the way the properties have been commingled, whether it's by data or fiber or whatever those conduits were, that Dave is willing to address as part of the process. I just don't think that that's part of the Planning Commission's purview in terms of your approval and entitlement and approving the project as a conforming project to the zoning code, essentially, right? All of those things do with the title work and abstracts and some of the other things that I know Dave's team has already looked through, but can certainly be resolved in a private-to-private discussion, which both of the speakers suggested as well, and we'll try and make that outreach again. So unless there's any other questions that you would like me to address other than some of those private property issues.
Okay, thank you.
Good, thank you.
We will close public comment on this. And correct, you can confirm that site has completed the seeker review. I think that's been mentioned a couple of times this evening. That's accurate, so we don't need to do that. We have the re-subdivision and the major site plan review to come to this body, and if there is a motion for action on either or both of those this evening, those can be considered by this body. If there's a desire from the commission members to hold for any reason, that can be considered as well. Is there a suggestion on?
Mr. Chairman, I think because we've had a very vibrant discussion, from all sides here, that holding this might be wise and would give interested parties a chance to communicate with the developer. And the other thing certainly we can't resolve here in the short time that we have, but probably holding the pieces to this application would be a good thing tonight.
There's.
Well, I think Brian has a point in terms of the issues, primarily the issues between property owners that need to be resolved. And just in terms of issues related to code, they're not code issues per se. So as far as the master plan approval goes, if we proceed with it tonight, I would assume we need to have some condition in there about communicating with the neighbors to ensure that the critical issues that have been identified are resolved to the satisfaction of everybody. And so if we were to proceed tonight, it would seem that we'd have to add that condition.
It could be a tough condition to meet.
The concern is that if it is
The initial
It may not-
we're spitballing this here because
That's
these
a
are
tough-
issues that were raised tonight.
He's saying we approve it with the condition that the property rights discussions amongst
The different
the
parties.
different parties are resolved.
As a condition of approval, he's asking, or he's suggesting that
If
there
we're-
be a condition that the approval is contingent on resolving these private property issues. I don't see how that condition is enforceable, because if they can't resolve it,
Understood.
then that negates your approval, should you approve the project. I mean, what we have done before are two things. One is that the board has studiously avoided involving themselves in private property issues. And when we have ventured forth and done that, it ended up in a bit of a disaster. I might remind you of the Brighton Car Wash issue and the property line dispute. And every time they thought they had a resolution, they didn't. And that delayed the project for a long time. The second issue is, we have in the past, as the zoning administrator just reminded me, required that there be a good faith effort between the parties to resolve the private issues that have been commented upon. And that could be a condition of the approval. Because frankly, I don't think that resolution of those issues is enforceable. I mean, what's a resolution? Is resolution of the issues that one side gets something they want and the other concedes something? I don't know how, as a commission, that can be an enforceable condition that our staff can say, well, you didn't do this, so we can't move this on to building permit stage or something like that.
So let me ask the staff question from a commission point of view, because I know the staff did extensive work looking at the property's history. Would your normal searches have come up with any written agreements between the properties? Would our city records show that?
You're talking about the easement specifically?
Well, easements, licenses, in other words, if there was a time when someone said, Syracuse has a lot of buildings where the walls touch, right? Were there agreements like we have found in other places when there have been renovations, we've had to create additional exit doors, and property owners have had to agree to that?
Generally speaking, we don't have those records. I mean, when we've tried to find them, for example, a great example of those type of records, easements mostly show up on a survey, but often what doesn't show up is private agreements, for example, off-site parking agreements. We have tried to require that they be recorded, but we've gotten some pushback from the clerk's office because once something's recorded, it's traceable and we can access it. And we're trying to set up our record keeping so that in the future, when none of us are here, staff and the commission can find out what was actually agreed to. So we do Commissioner Bowles, we do extensive research on every application. Through many different types of historical records. Vitan could walk you through that, but if a record is extant in the city's database, we have 5 digital databases that we look at, some of which are newer and some are older. We actually have just recently completed going through some, how many boxes were there? 785 boxes of old records, and we have documented them and to make sure that when we do parcel research, we're accounting for everything the city still has. Some things have been lost in floods. So, in long answer to your question, if it's not recorded, we don't have a way to find it unless it's in a file. And we have made the effort to go through literally those 785 boxes, and we've tied them now to the addresses of every building in the city that has a file.
But you've answered the question that what I was asking was, if there was something that was recorded, we would know about it. If there was, for whatever reason, a condition that someone created for renovations, because we had a past commission member who was actively involved in the renovations of that church. So just saying, in the back of one's mind, you recall all these things going on.
Yep.
Just awareness of it. It doesn't mean we're not recognizing the merit of every single application that we had tonight. Simply saying there are times we remember certain things, like moratoriums, and we'll say, oh, wait, did that block have a certain issue when it came to construction? Did it have an issue when it came to, how people shared whatever may have been? Our data is different now than it was in 1990.
And some of those things might be registered within
Sure.
our digital databases. But we have fortunately, we look at the Sanborn maps to see what was extant on a particular parcel. We have, thank goodness, the little index cards on every single property that the former zoning administrator, Chuck Ladd, kept. We have his entire database with his notes on every property that passed through his desk for, I don't know how long he was here. Those are items that we absolutely require the staff to look up. They now have access to the paper files, which we didn't have access to before because they weren't coded according to address. We reach out to other departments like the assessor, we look at their data. So we try to, in our parcel research, cover everything that we have access to.
Sure. And that, for tonight and for this record.
We also,
but you've answered my question.
yeah,
Like I said.
just for the record also, we also now, because we trained the staff to do this, we also look at the assessor cards. There are these yellow cards that have been kept historically on every property that talks about what was built and when, and it also records over time easements and other eventualities that are attached to the property. We also check those on every single parcel we research.
Thank you.
I think one of the struggles for me in thinking about this is the issues that were raised by the folks who spoke about their concerns is that they're not all equivalent. And something like the infrastructure issue that would impact St. Paul's is a little bit different than some of the other issues. And I appreciate your comment that with respect to enforceability, if we try and put something in the conditions, and I wonder just with respect to that, if the good faith clause, is that any better? Does that get us any further along or just open the field for more lawsuits, et cetera?
I think that this is a little personal, but we have, Mr. Bouchard appears in front of this board quite frequently. And as applicants go, I believe that his outreach to neighbors, what they did with the church around the Geiger project, where they initiated the protection of that small wooden church. It wasn't the church that necessarily initiated that, and they took the initiative to do this special rubber padding to keep it from vibrating. So in this instance, the good faith clause, I think, and I'm not disparaging anybody else, but I think that if there were such a condition that of all people who appear before you and who's representing an applicant, Mr. Bouchard would take that very seriously and do whatever they could to facilitate that kind of condition. And I'm not suggesting that the concerns that were raised are not legitimate. They are not things that the board or even our review, this is zoning, right? So in terms of traffic, there could be an agreement, and again, it's not us, with DPW that exit over there only turn left instead of turning right in front of the building next door. So there are other solutions, but they're not solutions that you can mandate because you can't mandate something to DPW, and we can't. But it can be broached by the applicant and the concerned parties. In terms of particulate matter coming out of the building and wind gusts and stuff from the air, that's again something that I'm not even sure Jitong can tell me that the seeker process gets that micro on it, to be honest, because when we do the seeker review, we actually take what the applicant submits, and then Jitong, I think he's usually our seeker lead, and this just gives you an idea of the level of detail the staff goes into. He actually compares, so there's the criteria on the EAF, and then there's the, what is it called, the one that has all the really deep detail, the workbook? So he actually compares the answers at a deeper level to a document the state has that allows you to peel away the layers and look more deeply at what they're really asking for. And we do that on every EAF, so that we're satisfied that what the applicant has presented is accurate. Because if we didn't think so, we wouldn't accept it and present it to you that way. So I feel like, from a zoning perspective, that the due diligence has been done and that a lot of the very, very legitimate concerns that have been raised tonight, absent the church, because that's a, you know, again, if it's a DPW issue, that's one thing. If it's a zoning number of parking spaces issue, that's us. But he's talking about access. That's not a zoning issue. And that's not something you can control or make conditions about necessarily. Curb cuts and things like that. That's, and I'm not sure I understood the issue with the parking for the church fully.
But there are nights that we don't take action because we're waiting to see what the DPW says.
You can do that. I mean, they commented on this, but they probably didn't look at it. And I'm not advocating for you to hold it or vote on it in any way.
This is all about the thoroughness of the record, because
Yeah.
when people look back at the tape, they're going to say, what were they thinking?
Yep. No, I think that, again, you can hold it, and Mr. Bouchard and the church can reach out to DPW to talk to them about those access issues, to talk to them about the the traffic flow issues coming out of that egress. Maybe that exit can be moved over to the center of that building. I don't know, because I'm not a designer, and we don't design projects either. When we get something, we take it as it looks like. So the staff is prohibited from saying, hey, you know, there's a building next door, why don't you move that over? They're just not allowed to do that. So, I think holding it to direct the applicant to, in good faith, meet with everybody would be a good idea, to be honest with you. But I'm not sure that they're going to come back with resolutions.
One thing I'd like to add to that, as both zoning administrator and deputy commissioner of code enforcement, is just taking this project out of it. And when we review either construction drawings for compliance with building code, or when we're reviewing land uses, you know, this is a permitted use, right? And what is the criteria? What is before you? It's a site plan review. And what are the requirements to get approval for a site plan? And the criteria, and I can read them, approval for site plans shall be approved upon a finding that the application meets all of the following. It's consistent with the general purpose and intent of the zoning ordinance. The site is consistent with dimensional, design, development, and other standards of this ordinance, and the site plan is generally consistent with the comprehensive plan and other adopted city policies and plans. I think a lot of boxes are checked when you're strictly going by does it meet code and what is the criteria to approve any site plan throughout a review process. Now, some of the things that were brought up are real, and I think there should be some discussions, but when you look at it like that, what is really preventing a decision based on compliance with the code and the criteria to approve a site plan? And just consider that.
Which is what I was getting at in a roundabout fashion as well, yeah.
I think it's our turn to figure out where we're going.
Yeah.
Close public comment.
Yeah, we did close public comment.
You can vote to reopen it, or you can choose.
I'd like to move on if we can. We can figure a way forward on this, and if there's a suggestion from my colleagues on what course of action to take on these.
I would actually like to hear my colleagues' motion with the good faith portion.
Gee, thanks.
Do you have a thought?
Well, I mean, I think we obviously, I believe, we need to acknowledge in some way the discussion that took place tonight and the importance of the issues raised and a path to resolving them. I'm not really comfortable with the idea of holding, because that can become indefinite, and this is a very important project that lots of people in the city want to see move forward. So I would hate to see us move that up. So my inclination would be to include the good faith clause, even though it's not, as strong as we might like, to ensure that things will be taken care of. But if we do that, at least as an expression of the importance of continuing discussions with the owners of buildings that will be impacted by this. That makes sense.
Impacts that are not directly zoning related. That's correct. Yeah.
With, I think we want it. Well, no, we're good. That's good.
Jake, did you have another? Did you have anything else?
No, I mean, personally, I like to think I'm a pretty good problem solver. I guess I'll throw this out there. I don't see a reason why maybe we can't get an update on this in 3 weeks and see where things are stuck and where they aren't, if they're open to that. At least that gives some kind of check-in point on where we stand and what's left to be thought of. That's maybe one option to consider.
So that would be a motion to hold for 3 weeks. Only.
I think it'd be an option to hold it to just hear back from all interested parties. Could possibly do that, and that would kind of force the issue to make sure that there's some discussion over the next 3 weeks, and everybody could come back if they wish and give comment. We can see where we stand, but I think at that point, I think, as a board, I think you have to evaluate, what items are left and outstanding, what are more maybe private civil matters versus what is really before you for a site plan approval. I don't know. I saw some nodding heads, I think. I'm not sure if everybody's in agreement of that, but, in an interest, everybody approached and said everybody's in favor of making downtown in the city a better place, right? A growing, vibrant community. So in that spirit, I think we could all come together and maybe they could figure some of these issues out and report back to the board in 3 weeks, and we can go from there.
So if we proceed with that, which would mean a motion to hold for 3 weeks, come back to the next meeting and have a report, but we could proceed with the resub tonight.
Do you want to separate
or no?
The two?
The resubdivision.
Well, I would expect they're not going to do the resub if they're not doing the project.
Right.
And normally you carry them together. And I don't recall you guys making motions to hold. I think you just hold.
Okay.
But if you want to make a motion, you can.
Well, what if the motion includes that we need updates on the concerns brought up tonight?
I mean, you can direct the applicant, they still need your vote. So you can simply direct the applicant to work with them and come back in 3 weeks and see where they're at. Both, I forgot your name, I'm sorry. Davies? Both Mr. Davies, the church, the easement issues that Mr. Pritchard brought up. They may or may not have some resolution. And remember, there's other agencies involved. Again, that's outside of your purview, but at least Mr. Bouchard can help get the ball rolling on some of those issues to see what can and can't be resolved. And if you want to do a motion, you're certainly free to do that, but generally I don't recall you doing motions when you're just holding something. And
Well, it depends on whether there's agreement or if everybody agrees that we don't need a motion.
Yeah.
Consensus
And
on
you
this.
can still, even without a motion, direct the applicant to work with these people.
Parties.
The opposing, I was gonna say complainants, but it didn't sound right, so. Work
Neighbors,
with,
the neighbors.
with the neighbors. With the
Interested neighbors.
Yeah, with the neighbors to see what they can come up with and make it a better project for everybody.
So that's an action for the chair. I don't have to make a motion.
Well, if, I think I'm hearing consensus, but if my hearing is impaired, please set me straight on that matter. But I believe my colleagues and I are in agreement that it would be a wise move, an appropriate move at this, having heard what we heard tonight, hold this project, these two applications, direct the applicant to engage in some dialogue with the folks and organizations that have spoken here tonight, and give us an update when we meet again in 3 weeks' time. Have I summarized that accurately, or if I missed key pieces? Okay.
Beautiful.
That's outstanding.
Okay.
Thank you.
I just think we want to clarify again, it is, we are not able to resolve personal property disputes. That is not our purview, and we're not really good at it, so.
But we maybe can create a little space to enable some dialogue where it
Right.
gets resolved among those who are most interested. And
Right.
What I can also say is, following a land use approval process, there's still a lot of time throughout, demolition applications, site work, construction permit application, building permit application. A lot of times disputes are resolved throughout that process as well, that are civil matters.
I'm pleased to tell you they actually.
All right, right.
But I do think some of these issues are.
I would like to say too, that I believe that it's just frustrating because obviously we've put a lot of work into this as a project, and I'm not sure that even in 3 weeks, if I could come back to you in 3 weeks and say we've met with them and they're perfectly satisfied, and we've met with the church and accommodated them, that would be great. I'm not sure what's going to transpire after tonight because some of these are issues that we weren't even aware of. The stopgap to this, as Jake said, is that there's lenders and financiers that go through abstracts and document, the chain of the title and some of these things that may be in there that have to be resolved in order to access funds to construct the project. And I hope we can resolve them. Most of them sounded easy, in terms of coordinating the construction and maybe some legacy stuff that's been attached to the garage that might not be documented. The opposite is that, private properties now start to posture themselves with lawyers, in the middle of a meeting. And then you start trying to negotiate, cost, right? Who's going to pay for the cost if it's a minor cost? This is indifferent to the action to approve a site plan. It is the board's, obviously, prerogative to choose what you'd like to do. So we will abide by whatever you choose to do tonight. Sure.
I don't think we're expecting complete resolution in 3 weeks, just an update. But if we hear that no conversations have gone on, that'll tell us one thing.
Right.
And if we hear there have been some fruitful discussions, but perhaps not closure, that tells us something else. And that can be instructive to the board to go forward from there. So all we ask is all the parties to engage in some honest, sincere, authentic discussion to try to work through some of these issues before we take our action. And the update in a few weeks would be helpful. Okay, thank you all who spoke this evening on these two applications, very important. Meanwhile, we have additional, and Jake, I think you are a problem solver, by the way. But we have additional applications for this evening, so can you bring us?
We do, and I appreciate everybody else who's still here for items remaining. Next up is the Parkside Commons apartment project. It's a major site plan review, MASPR 25-27. at multiple addresses along East Fayette Street in Westmoreland. This is in the MX2 zone district.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Andrew Burns from Pastor Associates, representing the applicant SAA, EVI, and BFC. And this application is proposing a total of 193 new apartments across 2 different building sites and buildings at the intersection of Westmoreland and East Fayette Street. And we're here tonight, I believe, requesting master plan review and a secret determination. A little project background is the applicant actually currently owns and manages the property to the east and the west, but to the east. And there's been ongoing conversations with the applicant, the city, and HCR, the funding source, that there's a more urgent need to kind of relocate these tenants. And it's not by chance we're proposing 193 units. There are currently 193 units in that western property, which we're hoping to relocate to these 2 new buildings. Once they're relocated, there is a phase 2 kind of lacking scope, but it involves bringing down those buildings over on that eastern portion. Assuming all city approvals are received, basic schedule for this is the applicant's hoping to close in Q1 and Q2 or Q2 of 2026 with breaking ground shortly after. If we can move into some of the sketches for Building A, we'll give a brief overview of the buildings. We'll call this Building A, which is on the northwest corner of East Fayette and Westmoreland. This is the bigger building, 143 units. It's 5 stories over podium parking. Building materials are conceptual at this point, but we're proposing mostly brick and fiber cement panels. Within the podium parking for this, we are proposing 79 parking stalls with the access off of Westmoreland. I believe you can see it in the lower right elevation there. Typical lighting and landscaping required by city zoning in the right-of-way. Street trees, and then building-mounted lighting to provide that pedestrian access. For trash, we will have compactors within the podium parking garage itself, and those will be accessed through that overhead door there. Building B, the smaller of the 2 buildings, is 50 units, and that's going to be across, or kitty corner across the street. That's 3 stories over podium parking, similar materials. In that podium parking, we will propose 29 parking stalls, both of those providing the 0.5 parking stalls per unit requirement. Similar lighting and landscaping to be proposed. Trash compactor also within the podium parking area. To date, we have had a pre-development meeting with the city regarding Building A. Since that time, that meeting with the city and HR has occurred, and we've added this Building B to get us to that 193 unit total count. We've also received comment response letters for both buildings. Having reviewed and take no issue with any of the comments, we're happy to review those comments individually with the board. We do understand that we'll need to return back to this board for a final site plan review for buildings A and B, as well as a subdivision for the combination of parcels. Also, that we will need to go to the BZA for the number of stories on Building A. We're asking for an additional story at that building, but I believe we need to complete this process before we can go ahead and start that one. In conclusion, we feel that the project meets the spirit and intent of the MX2 zone district and is consistent with the city's comprehensive plan. With that, happy to answer questions the board or the public may have.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicant?
So I understand this application is for the construction on lots A and B and does not involve the renovation of the other buildings. But that said, I'm just curious in terms of if you could just talk a little bit about that process, because people are being moved around. How does that interface with this project? And I know that there are some number, I don't know, somewhere between 350 and 400 subsidized units. How is that impacted by this process? Is that involved in these buildings at all? Are those units going to be maintained? What's the process for that?
Yep, understood. Can we go back to the overall aerial that shows the east and the west portion? So for clarity, I believe the applicant owns the parcel to the east, or sorry, to the west and the east. So there's currently a rehab going on in the west parcel right now. We're specifically talking about 193 existing units in the east parcel. So the plan would be to construct these new buildings, relocate these tenants, and once they've completely relocated, bring down those buildings based on their existing condition, and then a future phase 2 for that parcel, which is an unknown scope at this time. There's a current push from HCR to get these tenants out into new modern housing options, and then kind of look at this parcel next to the east.
And that subsequent phase that you mentioned is not calendar specific, it's down the road some piece, right?
Correct. We haven't even begun scoping that yet, so or the applicant hasn't.
Further questions for the applicant?
No, thank you.
Thank you. Are there individuals who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please come forward, provide your name, address, and comments. It's getting easier and easier to scan the room. Are there individuals who would like to speak in opposition to the application? Please come forward.
Sharon Sherman, Executive Director, Greater Syracuse Tenants Network. Address is 731 James Street. However, in addition, I'm a resident at 123 Houston Ave, which is 3 blocks from where this is proposed. So as far as the residents of Parkside Commons, they have heard nothing about any renovation of either the east side, the west side, which is proposed to stay, and the east side, which is to be demolished. There is no indication that there have been any discussions with HUD, which is closed right now, so I couldn't call them and ask them, but there are 393 Section 8 project-based vouchers. 193 belong to the project to the east, and the other 200 to the west. So I believe the nearest residents will be opposed to this project because they're living in dilapidated housing. There is no public plan for renovation of anything. These developers are coming in to make more money, to do tax credits, which is not in the best interest of the city. I will look further at the plan. Like everyone else, I saw it Friday night. And I did notice that there is going to be a 5-story unit. As a person who lives in that neighborhood and has lived in the adjacent Salt Springs neighborhood on Niven Street for several years, I do not believe a 5-story unit building fits into that neighborhood, and that part of it should be deeply considered. I also think I'm not clear on how close these buildings will be to the sidewalk and the street. So I'd like to have a good examination because it is a walkable neighborhood. And I just want to make sure that the fronts of the building fit with the stores that formerly were in that neighborhood, if you're not changing it too much. The density, I mean, we could have that density, but I think it's also very important when considering this, what is going to happen if they do demolish that other big piece of property which they'll own, because that will create new plans for the area. So I know this is the beginning, thank goodness, of a long process, and at future times we will get the tenants' involvement. But I also think of the financing for this. If they get the tax credits to do this piece, what happened to the tax credits to renovate. And also, since this owner has taken over Parkside Commons, they closed on a property that had no code violations. Within 3 months, they had 78 code violations. They currently are taking tenants to court. They took 30 people to court and lost every case this month. So all this good management capability to manage this property, I think those things are all in question. And we could be in favor of this if we first knew what was happening to the dilapidated buildings on both sides of the project. So we'll be back as you progress with the project. Any questions?
Thank you.
Good, thanks. I was told it might be 10, but it was 9:05. Thank you.
We're not done yet. They don't let us stay that late.
Right.
Thank you. Other individuals who wish to speak in opposition to this application, please come forward. Appears to be no one else desiring to speak. Sir, as I indicated to previous applicants, when comments are offered in opposition, the applicant has an opportunity to address those comments. So you're welcome to return to the podium if you want to speak to some of those issues.
Yeah, I can attempt to address a few of them. As far as tenant outreach, I was advised by our applicant that there have been tenant events, and they've said that they can provide proof of that. Again, as the previous commenter mentioned, we do have some time here, so we have some time to do additional public outreach if that's a requirement, and I think they'd be open to that. As far as proximity to the street, we'll be doing everything to meet local zoning code with streetscapes, widened sidewalk, providing fire access. So we think we're going to bring a fresh, clean look to this corner. But again, beauty is in the eye of the beholder for something like that. So we will be advancing those building elevations and materials again through this process. So.
Okay, thank you. We will close public comment. And consider seeker review.
Thank you. Yep, this is a type 1 action, so we're going to do the full seeker review. This is Zitong Wu, Director of Zoning, 300 South State Street. The full environmental assessment form part 2 on page 428 has been prefilled with the suggestion from staff. And I am going to go through the part 2 to see if you agree with these suggestions. And we also have the part 3 determination drafted, and a seeker resolution which could be used if commissioners decide to act on seeker tonight. Among the 18 impacts indicated in the part 2, staff recommend you check no to impact on geological features, as there are no unique geological features on the site. No to impact on surface water, as there is no wetlands or surface water bodies exist or adjacent to the property. Stormwater management system will be installed on the project site to prevent stormwater generated by the action. Per the SWIP, the on-site stormwater runoff will be significantly decreased. The action will be served by existing water infrastructure instead of withdrawing the water from any surface water. No to impact on groundwater, as the action will not result in any new or additional use of the groundwater. No to impact on flooding, as the action will not result in development on lands subject to flooding. No to impact on air, as the action will not include a state-regulated air emission source and will not require federal or state air emission permits. No to impacts on plants and animals. Even there are threatened or endangered species, northern long-eared bat, tricolored bat, and the monarch butterfly on the project site, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service determined that the proposed action will not affect these species. And also there is no national nature landmark on the site. No to impact on agricultural resources, as there is no this kind of resources on the site. No to impact on aesthetic resources, as the action is not located near to any scenic or aesthetic resources. No to impact on historic and archaeological resources. The action will not occur on, but will be substantially contiguous to an NR-eligible property situated at 1918 East Fayette Street, named Joseph Lynch Residence. However, the action will not modify or eliminate the NR-eligible property or introduce apartment building that will significantly change the character of the area. The action will not occur within or substantially contiguous to an area designated as the sensitive for archaeological sites. No to impact on open space and recreation, as there is no designated open space or resources will be displayed by the action. No to impact on critical environmental areas, as there's not such resources on the site. No to impact on transportation. Per the traffic impact report, after the full build, the level of services at the two nearby major intersections, which is the East Fayette Street and Westcott Street, East Fayette Street and Westmoreland Avenue, these two intersections will not be significantly impacted. The projected traffic increase will not exceed the existing road network. The action will not add 500 or more parking spaces, also will not eliminate any public transit access, will not degrade the existing pedestrian and bicycle accommodations, and will not require the creation of new traffic patterns, such as the roads, that impact existing movement patterns of the people or goods. No to impact on energy, as the action will not require a new or an upgrade to an existing substation, and action would take place in a already urbanized area with existing electricity infrastructure. No to impact on noise, odor, and light, as the action will comply with the City of Syracuse noise ordinance to mitigate the noise impact, and will add new outdoor lightings, but will comply with the Syracuse zoning ordinance, which prohibits the lighting shining onto adjoining properties and will not result in having lighting creating the sky glow brighter than existing area conditions. The action also will not result in generating odors or fumes during the operation. No to impact on human health, as there is no blasting proposed, and the project site does not have a history of contamination or spills. And all the solid waste generated will be managed by following all the state, federal, or local laws and regulations. No to consistency with community plans, as the action is consistent with the most part of the development standards of MX2 zone district. However, the proposed structure is in violation of the zoning requirements about the maximum building story for multi-unit apartment building. The applicant will submit a variance application to the Office of Zoning Administration, or actually it's to the Board of Zoning Appeal, to seek relief from this zoning requirement. If the variance application is denied, then the proposed structure will be required to fully comply with the zoning ordinance. Also, the surrounding properties are occupied by low to high density residential housings, retail store, funeral home, and community health center. The proposed land use is not in sharp contrast to surrounding land use patterns. No to consistency with community character, as the action will not replace or eliminate existing facilities, structures that's historic importance to the community, will not create a demand for additional community services, will not interfere with the use or enjoyment of the public resources, and is designed to be consistent with the predominant architectural scales and the character of the surrounding properties. The action will also use the land to create more affordable housings. Therefore, the staff determined that the action is highly unlikely to have significant adverse impact on the above 17 aspects. Does the board agree? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes, we do.
We're awake.
Then the staff recommend you check yes to the following impacts. Impact on land. This action does involve a construction and physical alteration of land. Therefore, we recommend that board answer this question yes. Does the board agree?
Yes.
The sub-question A through G are asking about the depth to water tables, slope of the site, exposed bedrocks, excavation and removal of natural materials, potential erosions, duration of the construction, and if the action is in a coastal erosion hazard area. Based on the information provided in Part 1 of the FEAF and the response letter, and all the supplementary materials, the action will not involve construction on land with shallow water table, steep slopes, shallow bedrocks, or within a coastal erosion hazard area. There is no excavation, mining, or dredging proposed in this action, and a stormwater management system has been designed and will be installed for both lots. Therefore, I recommend you check no or small impact for the sub-question A, B, C, D, F, and G. Does the board agree?
Yes.
Sub-question E indicates that the project is anticipated to be completed within 24 months. The long-term construction triggers concern on noise impact on the nearby properties. Per the response, the action will comply with the City of Syracuse noise ordinance to mitigate the noise impact during the construction. Therefore, I recommend you check no or small impact for the sub-question E. Does the board agree?
Yes.
In conclusion, the Commission, as lead agency in this coordinated review under the State Environmental Quality Review Act, has thoroughly reviewed all relevant materials, has taken a hard look, and analyzed all aspects of the action. For all the reasons set forth above, the Commission determines that the action will not have a significant adverse impact on the environment, and therefore, an environmental impact statement need not to be prepared. Accordingly, the Commission issues a negative declaration to be filed, and notice of the negative declaration will be provided pursuant to all applicable laws and regulations. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. It completes the seeker review for this application. We have the major site plan review, MASPR 2527, before us for possible action. I also am thinking about consistency with previous actions tonight where we held something in expectation or asking, create some space for some dialogue. And it sounded as though from one of the speakers this evening, there hadn't been a lot of dialogue with the residents. And I'd like the board to consider similar action here. Seeker's been completed, but holding this to create the space, not to direct what those conversations should be about, but to foster some dialogue between the residents and the applicant. Thoughts?
Seems to be consistent with what we've done so far, so I would agree holding is appropriate.
And directing the applicant, as we did with the
Yes.
previous applicant, to engage in some conversations. We're not scripting those, but creating the space whereby they can happen and reporting back. Yeah. That we better consult counsel on that.
before our next meeting. Right. We just want to make sure that.
It actually probably would help us if BZA acted before.
Otherwise we'd probably still hold.
Right. Otherwise, we'd have to hold because you didn't have BZA.
Right.
So this site plan review process is what's known as a multi-phase process. So this is kind of like the sketch plan introduction, but we plan for, worst case scenario for a seeker evaluation. You're not wrong in saying that other details that would need major site plan review would be back before this board. That is correct in stating that. Those would be kind of the final phases of the project as a whole. But what I think the board's saying is they would like to see how BZA acts first, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's one of the main issues. I mean, I'm less concerned about the outreach to community with this project than the other two, because there's some significant differences, although that's important. So I don't want to minimize the importance of that, because one of the things we keep hearing on projects is complaints about inadequate engagement of the neighborhood. And that's a concern for us, that's continuing to happen. This project, I think there's ample time for that to occur. But the variance issue is important, because if the BZA doesn't improve, that's going to significantly impact what you're doing. And since you have to go there anyway, there would be value in having that happen before we actually act on this particular application. And that would also give you some additional time to address the issue of community engagement.
That help?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
So that's an action for the chair again. We don't need a motion.
I think we're good.
Okay.
Thank you to the speakers. We soldier on with another application, or several more. Are we under any hard time limits that we know of?
Yeah, like 10 o'clock, so I think we can get there.
Oh, we can get there.
Yeah.
Before 10, okay.
Give me one
I
second.
was thinking it might be 9.
Yep, trying to find what page we're on.
Or 65.
65.
Okay. Next up is a special use permit. This is SP 25-26 at 401 Pond Street in Steuben. This is in the MX2 zone district. The property owner is requesting permission to establish food and beverage retail land use type.
Good evening. You had the luck of the draw. You're late on the agenda. Sorry about that.
Good evening. My name is Idris Abraham. I own TMB Properties at 399 Village Boulevard North in Baldwinsville, New York. I'm the property owner of 401 Pond. I've been trying to fight for this permit for I think a little over 2 years. I've been at this property for over 17 years. It's been in the family. Everything that they've been asking me for, I provided. Took the signs down. There's one sign that we had to leave up, the one that says All American Market on it, because they count the money behind that window, and the lotto money and everything is behind that window. So if we was to take that off, people can see where the money's going. So we like to keep that covered. But the other window, we took all the signs down like they wanted.
There were a series of recommendations, I think, from the SEPTED report, from the police experts. And if I'm remembering correctly, you agreed to all of those recommendations?
Yes, I took the signs down except that one sign, the big white one, because that's where they count the money and everything behind that window. So at the end of the night when they close, they go behind and they count and they stash the money for the next day. But everything else we did. We just put up some new lights. The RV, I've been trying to get that moved because it's not mine, and the property next door is not mine.
That's someone else's.
Yeah, that's the guy that owns the building next door to me. I've been trying to make a deal with him to try if we can do something with this parking lot, but he always tells me he doesn't speak English. So I tried everything with him. It's not working. I really don't know who to get a hold of with this for this RV unless they tow it, because it's not on my property, so I can't tow it. And if I do tow it, I get in trouble. I don't want them to come after me for it. So I keep the property owner doesn't really care to do anything with it. So I don't know if it's his or who it really belongs to. Like I said, I tried working with him. He keeps telling me he don't speak English. I tried cleaning up around that area, but there's so much that I can do. I even called Sam Perry from Codes, had him come out because, well, I seen him out there because the building caught on fire next door and they threw all their garbage outside. They took pictures of it. I went by there the other day. I guess he wants to open back up the building and get the apartments going. So he had somebody come and clean it all out so he can pass inspection. Now for the parking, I never had a problem because I always cleaned the parking. I always shoveled it, always took care of it. They want me to close it off and put like grass, and it's like this pathway into the door. But I think that's going to cause a problem for the traffic going up and down the street. Because the simple fact is, on Wednesdays you got the Central bus for the senior home across the street where they take them shopping, and then when you got the school buses and they drop the kids off, you got the traffic both ways and they stop. Sometimes you get cars that go down the one-way street to Steuben because they don't want to wait behind the buses. So if I eliminate the parking, it's just going to be a hassle, especially in the winter when they plow. Because when the plow truck comes, I plow that. I have a guy that comes and plows that. When the city trucks come, they cover it. And it's just going to be so much snow where just traffic is going to be an accident. So I try to keep that area clean in the winter, especially for the kids, because the parents usually park there so the buses can come and pick them up. They don't have to wait outside in the cold. And then the side of Steuben, I don't know what happened with the city. They started working on the sidewalk and then they stopped. You can see how they stopped with the sidewalk. I don't know why they stopped there. I don't have no idea. They were supposed to, they said, when I seen them working on it, they said they're gonna do the whole thing, and then they just stopped right there. I don't know why. I built that fence up because somebody's trying to steal the air conditioner unit. So I had to build that wall, the fence around it, so I can close it off so that nobody won't cut the wires and steal it. And then the signs that you see up, there's no windows there. That's all concrete behind that. When we took the building over years ago, that's how it was. It was just a plywood over it, and there's concrete on the other side. And that whole side of the wall, there's a walk-in cooler, a 14-foot walk-in cooler on that wall. So you can't get in on this side of the building. Like I try, like every time the Syracuse police ask me to do something, I work with them. When they ask me for the video, I give it to them. One time my dad got shot at because somebody in the neighborhood went and told one of the dealers that the corner store is working with the police. My dad was like right in the door and the bullet went like right flying by his head. The police came, they seen the video and everything, and like thank God my dad just like stuck his head inside, or else he would have got shot. So it's like, I don't mind working with the police, and I always work with them anytime something happens in that area. I come and give them the video, whatever they want. But at the same time, sometimes when my mom and dad was there, it's kind of scary because you don't know what or who's gonna pay somebody to go in there and do something. So it's like, that's why I'd rather keep that sign up because of the money situation. Now my mom's not there because she got dementia, but now it's just like me, my sister, and my brother-in-law that's usually there.
Thank
So
you.
I'm trying as much as I can, whatever they ask me for, I'm trying.
Questions for the applicant about this application?
Yeah, so I have a couple of questions, I guess, just related to the general application and what's going on in it. First of all, you have in the application that you want to sell tobacco, but you tried to get a tobacco license in 2024, and you were denied because of proximity to other vendors for tobacco. But yet you put the application through as if you had tobacco still in it.
There is tobacco in there. I do got a tobacco license.
I understand, but tobacco is not permitted. And you tried to get a tobacco license in 2024, and it was denied because of proximity to existing tobacco vendors. But yet you still put the application through with tobacco in it as one of the items you're going to sell. So that troubles me.
No, but there is a tobacco license, and the vendor is from Buffalo. The vendor that we get the cigarettes from Wild Bill's. There is a tobacco license, a legit tobacco license.
So to be
You
clear,
have to have a tobacco license.
So to be clear, there's two licenses. There's a state license. What the commissioner is referring to is a city of Syracuse local license that's needed in addition to having a state license.
No, that's why we put the application in. We've been waiting, and we haven't, because we're going through this process.
You were denied a license in 2024. You already applied for a local tobacco license and were denied because of the proximity issue.
When we first applied, it was $550. They cashed the check, and then we were waiting for the license. We didn't know what was going on. And then I found out down the line that a lot of things have changed, and that we should have got stuff in the mail, or we should have been watching the news for everything that's been changing with the county and the city.
But you understand you cannot get a tobacco license. You cannot sell tobacco out of this location. You understand that?
Yeah, now I do.
Okay. So my other concern is, we have a suggested condition here with respect to the SEPTED recommendations, which are very important for us. It's very important for us to hear what the police have to say about these kinds of properties. And so we follow their recommendations very closely. The suggested condition that we have is the applicant shall submit photographic evidence of the completed site improvements to the Office of Zoning Administration within 90 days of approval of the special use permit. And my concern is that when I read through your responses to the SEPTED, I can't actually tell which ones you've actually agreed to, because on most of them you seem to waffle or have some agreement to some extent with the police recommendation. And so far as I can tell, there's only two that I have a clear, okay, you agreed to that. All of the other ones, there seems to be like a maybe, or there's aspects about the SEPTED recommendation that you disagree with, and so you don't want to implement that. And just one example, the DPW requires a bike rack, and you don't want to put a bike rack there because you're concerned that people may be stealing bikes. Well, I mean, people who ride bikes are well aware of that problem everywhere they ride a bike. It's not something that you can say, no, I don't want to put a bike rack there because I'm afraid that a bike might get stolen. So I have all of those concerns about all of the SEPTED recommendations.
No, I never said anything about not putting a bike rack.
Well, you have a comment here about that.
That was never really like mentioned of anything about a bike rack, and I said they can do the sidewalk, and they can fix the sidewalk and finish it, because I don't know why they stopped where they stopped with the sidewalk. Because I put blacktop over the sidewalk, because at the time I thought I owned the property was all mine, until a couple months ago when I talked to these guys and they said the property's not. It's the city's property. It's not my property.
Right, so I understand, but there's that kind of qualification almost on every one of the issues. So I guess perhaps I'll ask Codes, are you comfortable with the responses to the SEPTED with that requirement in the conditions that all of the stipulations they agreed to should be met with photographic evidence within 90 days? Because honestly, I can't tell what they agreed to or not in many cases. And they seem to have agreed to something less than what the police are recommending in many cases.
Right. You know, a lot of times I think our staff in general has urged the board to make sure applicants are meeting all of the SEPTED recommendations, with maybe one or two exceptions where I think there were some compelling discussion or presentation to this board as to maybe why they shouldn't meet one or two of the items. But what I also want to point out Public Works comments, because I think at least two or three of them kind of correlate with the SEPTED regarding the site. And, you know, I think the expectation for Public Works is that for a commercial business, like, they're going to take on these improvements. Unfortunately, I mean, he even said, like, they paved over it. You know, I get it. Not everybody realizes what is private property and public property, but yeah, the property line's about 2 feet or less off the front of the building, I believe. Survey's in here somewhere. I can look at it. But yeah, Public Works is asking for site improvements, you know, in front of the building as well. Quoting that, you know, that the paved parking area is not permissible and that it should be addressed as part of before a special use permit approval. That sounds pretty similar to the SEPTED recommendation as well. Yeah, I suppose you could condition it or ask for some substantial proof of them taking on those improvements, be it a permit, I don't know.
Well, I mean, it seems very complicated, given the number of instances and issues in which we still have questions.
Right.
And so I guess my inclination would be I would prefer to see all of those issues addressed fully before we act.
Well, the stuff that I said that I did, I took pictures of it, I sent it to Andre Johnson, and supposedly he emailed it to these guys.
Office is that?
Staff is saying that we only received a photo of sign removal from Mr. Johnson.
Right. Again, so just an example, under ballards or large planters, the SEPTED calls for that, and we frequently enforce that because that's a very important thing to differentiate, you know, your property from the right-of-way, et cetera. Your response to that, we will look into getting these items. However, as discussed at the meeting, they will give individuals a place to sit and hang out, which we don't allow at our business or property. So I don't know whether you agreed to that or not.
You talking about the boulders?
Yes.
Well, there's, so when the building on the corner when it collapsed, my sister and I talked to the mayor. That's why he put the 2 boulders across the street and made that street into a one-way. If you go by there every day, you'll see people hanging out, sitting on top of them boulders. So if I was to put if I was to cover that in front of the business and put boulders, all they're gonna do is gonna have people sitting there hanging out and smoking and bothering the customers.
Right, so again, to me, that's an example of where SEPTED is recommending one thing, which we enforce on other properties when they recommend that, because it's not just bollards, there's other options, planters, et cetera, that people couldn't sit on, can't congregate.
I don't have a problem with, like...
I can't tell whether you agreed to do that or not.
I don't have a problem. I was talking to a few people about making the park, like making the walkway and then putting grass on the side and then trying to eliminate the parking like that. But is that going to eliminate it? I can't tell you yes and I can't tell you no, because it depends on as soon as the guy next door opens up, how they're going to start doing it.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying, and I'm just saying that seems to be your response to many of the things, which then leaves me in a position where I don't know what you're going to do relative to that and what kind of documentation is required, you know, et cetera. So,
well, if the city's recommending to do that, I don't have a problem with it. And put it on the taxes or whatever, however it works. Because when they started the sidewalk, they're supposed to finish it, and they never finished it. They stopped where they stopped near the fire,
So I don't represent DPW, but I'm going to try to do my best to explain it. And this type of business requires a special use permit. And in order to get a special use permit, there are certain requirements and codes and expectations that need to be met in order to get that approval. Part of that is a lot of the site improvements and enhancements that are listed by both the Syracuse Police Department of their SEPTED report, but also Public Works in the review of your application, to which the expectation is that the owner and business owner take on those expenses, not the city, unfortunately. I mean, if the city had money to do site enhancements for everybody, I mean, we just don't. I mean, I'm not trying to say, this is for everybody, right? Like the city doesn't have money to put curbs up and give you new sidewalks and to, rip up the asphalt and put grass in, and they just don't. Like part of getting approval to have a business there is that you meet these code requirements.
So you're saying that I have to do the sidewalk on Steuben?
I'm not, but Public Works is, yes.
But they started it and they stopped.
I mean, we
I
can
just don't,
yeah.
my whole thing is I don't know why they started it and then they just stopped where they stopped at. Because I can have guys probably within 2 weeks to start the front and go get some blocks and put it up front.
So I think we understand, I mean, there's lots of issues that are open-ended here. My struggle, and I wouldn't need to hear from our colleagues on the commission here, but if I have to vote tonight, I would vote to deny because I need a more robust response to the SEPTED and to the department, DPW comments. Because I can't tell from the responses we have so far where you are in agreeing to or not agreeing, or what course of action.
No, what I'm saying is I can have the front blocked off within two weeks.
There's many things in here that fall into that same category. And if we go through all of them, we'll be here for another hour to get an answer from you about whether or not you're going to do that or what or to what extent. So if I have to vote tonight, I would vote to deny. If you want to hold it and come back with more robust response to the SEPTED and to the DPT recommendations, then that would be one way to proceed. But that's just me. We have my three colleagues.
Would a itemized list, if you will, with a simple column of agreed or not agreed to bring more clarity to this? Which ones he's agreeing to and which ones he has issues with. We understand you may not, these wouldn't necessarily be your recommendations, and you have thoughts about why you wouldn't do some of these things, but setting that aside with these recommendations that came from DPW and from the police department, a simple list one by one and kind of a yes or no after each of them will tell us what your position is in the face of those recommendations. That would be, I think that's what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
And maybe he can get the pictures right to the staff. I think it just, I don't know who the other gentleman is. I don't recognize his name, but maybe you get the pictures to them and then they can go through it and say, you answered the question, like he said, or the question isn't answered yet. We just need to say yes or no.
Right. So can I get more time? Can I get more time?
I think that might be appropriate given the circumstances.
If we were to hold it with the stipulation that you come back with more worked out answers to the DBW recommendations and to the SEPTED recommendations that are clear statements of what you agree to and what you don't agree to, then we can proceed. Because right now your statements don't really give us that kind of certain clarification.
Yeah.
I think it's clear here that there are questions, but also important to note, the DPW transportation review is very clear that the special permit should not be issued unless some of their concerns are addressed. And
Which I didn't get nothing from DPW. All I got was from the Syracuse Police Department.
I understand. It's a part of your application. So what I would ask or encourage you to do is reach out back to the staff tomorrow, have them walk you through the DPW comments, which deal primarily with the front of the building and the asphalt and the sidewalk and entrance and egress, et cetera. And so that you have a full understanding of what you will do or won't do as far as DPW is concerned. And then from there, the SEPTED recommendations as well. But take a second look and give us your feedback on those items as well.
All right, yeah, I'll definitely do that.
Okay.
So I'll definitely give them a call tomorrow.
Great.
And then I'll just, or if they just give me a copy of everything that I need, and then I can go.
Yep, they'll walk you through it.
Yeah, it's been sent, but we'll resend it and go through it again.
And be very clear about it.
All right.
Yeah, because I mean, again, when we read through these, I can't tell whether you agree or not, and there's almost all qualification. So you just need to be specific about what you're willing to do. If there's something you don't want to do, that's okay, then you need to make an argument for that and get it approved by the police or by DPW.
All right.
But because they're experts on this. We're not experts on each of these issues. We have to rely on their professional judgment.
I understand. No, I definitely understand now. It's just, it wasn't brought up to me the way you guys were saying it, so it was, yeah, no, I definitely understand. Yeah, I'll definitely take care of the issue though, definitely. So I can resolve this as soon as possible.
Okay, so we'll see you again.
Thank you.
Thanks for
Hopefully
hanging in
shortly.
tonight. Yeah, and hopefully earlier in the agenda.
Right, right.
All right, thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
reach out to them guys.
Yep.
And now, our favorite part of the meeting, 3-mile limit cases. I've never seen so many 3-mile limit cases in my life.
One of those things. But it's, you know,
So, I know it's been a long night. I'd like to just power through these.
Let's do it. If you have to leave, we still have a quorum.
Yeah, you're good, right?
Yep, we're good.
So, we just have 3-mile limits and other business. First up is 3-mile limit, the town of DeWitt, 3S25-13. We have city engineer's approval.
A motion?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-13 as presented.
second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Nay. Abstentions? Approved. Next.
3-mile limit, town of Onondaga, 3S-25-14. We also have the city engineer's approval.
Yep.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-14 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, say nay. Any abstentions? It's approved for Onondaga. Next.
Another 3-mile limit, town of Onondaga, 3S-25-15. We have the city engineer's approval.
Is there a motion for action?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-15 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Nay. Abstentions? 3S-25-15 is approved.
One
Wait
more.
a minute. 3-mile limits for the town of Onondaga?
Yeah, one more
Isn't there a
town of
limit?
Onondaga here. That's the limit. 3S-25-16, town of Onondaga. We also have city engineer's approval.
Is there a motion for action?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-16 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor of the motion, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Any abstentions? That's approved for Onondaga.
On to town of Geddes, 3S-25-17. We have the city engineer's approval.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-17 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Abstentions? Geddes 3-mile limit is approved.
On to the town of DeWitt, 3S-25-18. We have the city engineer's approval.
there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-18 as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Abstentions? Second 3-mile limit case for DeWitt is approved.
Last one, Town of Geddes again, 3-mile limit, 3S-25-19. We have the city engineer's approval.
Is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve 3S-25-19 as presented.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, please say nay. Abstentions? The second 3-mile limit case for Geddes is approved. Anything else for us to consider tonight?
We can adjourn.
Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second.
Discussion. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. Abstentions? We're adjourned until November 10th? November 10th. Wow. Made it through it all in a fashion.